The main character jolts awake, and the moment his eyes open, he has no clue where he is. And he has no clue why he's even there. It all went down out of nowhere like the world snapped in half. The second he opened his eyes, he was up and moving. He blinked and suddenly he was nowhere near home, stranded in a whole new world. He can't stop thinking about how it all started before he ended up right here. He was trapped on a bus as an avalanche slammed into it, and in the blink of an eye, everyone on board was gone. And that little boy starts wandering, scanning every corner like he's hunting for someone to talk to. Then he stumbles on a bunch of people Then this chubby four-eyed kid pops up, grinning ear to ear like he's just spotted his best friend. And good news, everyone there is safe and sound. But even now 10 people are still missing, and the MC only just saw it unfold while he was stuck on the bus. She couldn't stop worrying. He was so locked into video games that he barely even thought about the coming death. After he remembered her, everything hit him all at once. He pleads for a way out of the nightmare Sasaki is stuck in. Turns out she's still one of the people who vanished, right there on the list of missing, next and next. The boy shoots a question, where are we exactly? Then the chubby boy blurts out, we're at the water temple. In another world where they'll be safe for a while, Fuji's eyes light up and he tells them the truth. That world has a demon lord waiting in it. Ford spots Makoto, and the moment he sees him, Makoto's excitement ignites like a spark. And leans in, asking if you got those special abilities too. In that world, those powers are classified like top secret. Share them and you're done for, so you keep it all locked inside. The main character strides toward what looks exactly like a church. He can't stop thinking how he'd give anything for even one ability of his own, just one. The boy steps forward and declares, I'm Takatsuki. And the priest orders them to press on with the checkup. But the MC can't stop wondering, there has to be a way back to his world, right? Makoto's question slams the air into a heavy, suffocating silence. And the priest lanes in, laying down the rules for how to reach that world. So you're telling me you must have died in the original world. Completely swept away by his faith. The priest drops this bombshell before Makoto's death. Death's grand, merciful goddess tore them from their world and hurled them into this one. In that exact moment, if he manages to crawl back to his original world, he's going to die the moment they step into that world. They got these rare, game-changing abilities, and the power they wield is going to decide what happens next, because everyone else already has incredible powers too. Makoto's nerves are on fire as he waits to finally uncover what his power really is. And the priest leans in and tells him, it's all in the Book of Souls, go check it there. The boy's mind is crystal clear, and he's still a total beginner in water magic. And on top of that, he unlocked a one-of-a-kind RPG player power. The MC fires the question, asking if what the priest is doing is a good thing, and the priest braces to answer. But he's shocked when he checks Makoto's status and sees what's there. An old man suddenly turns strange in the blink of an eye, and dumps it all on the nun to clean up and settle. Afterward, he storms off, while the woman slides the MC his Book of Souls, packed with his abilities. On the paper, it's stamped his remaining life is only 10 years, so the boy starts to panic right then and there. The nun leans in and tells them, anyone who slips in from another world burns through a lifespan there, same rules every time. She insists this expectation grows as you give more to society, but you'll need a huge stash of money to make it real, and that whole path is painfully complicated. They get it done the hard way, charging straight into monsters and pulling humans out of danger, using their powers to save people when it matters most. Then the little boy's mind starts racing, fueled by the powers he's just begun to realize he has. A crystal-clear mind steadies his breath, so he doesn't so much as panic, even when a monster of an enemy is staring him down. His water magic is a total mess right now. He's brand new, and he's got to grind hard and practice non-stop to get it right. Meanwhile, that RPG player ability snaps on a panoramic god's eye view, letting him see every move around him at once. The nun tells him he can stay at school for a full year, and during that time he should lock in a career path. Makoto leans in and asks if she has any specific job in mind. But the nun is totally oblivious and he just keeps spitting out the same line. He can attend classes for free for a whole year, like some scripted NPC standing there, doing what Makoto tells him. That's the perfect chance to dive into something new, and Fuji drills him with, so how'd it go? And the MC lines in like, okay, that's weird, then starts grilling his friend, what are you really capable of? Fuji leans in and tells them he can stash anything he wants, and somehow even spot the true quality of whatever he's got. He can read those text chats and fire back a reply. Since every one of his powers turns useless in a fight, he's decided to trade instead, swapping battle plans for becoming a merchant. Makoto feels crushed because the priest reacts to him in a way that screams, "You're not enough." His status is sinking so low it's practically off the map. And just like that, their time at that school vanishes in the blink of an eye. And suddenly strangers start colliding, meeting face to face like their fates just clicked. There, even Fuji didn't stick around. Once he spotted the merchant guild, he bylayed. Meanwhile, the MC drifted with no direction, wandering the world after a full year of training. The boy just landed his apprenticeship as a mage, and now he's brimming with confidence. His goal burns hot, he's going to conquer everything and rise into greatness. So he launches into his adventure, ready to chase whatever comes next. First, he sets out to reach Fuji in the same city, and since the boy's got water close by, he doesn't waste a single drop of magical power making any. At that moment, he can command 5 water orbs with perfect control. And right then, he even tweaked them a little to make it fit. Over the past year, he realized his skills were absolutely awful, and that could spell his doom in the blink of an eye. Right in the middle of the forest walk, he suddenly hears the screams and realizes people nearby are getting attacked. With his stealth power, he slips in close, disappearing into the shadows as he closes the distance. A merchant gets swarmed by goblins, and Makoto can't even tell if he's got what it takes, because his skills are pretty rough. His teacher drilled it into him, if a monster ever shows up, bolt, because if he dies out there, it's over. Not like a game where you just lose a chunk of your money and walk away. Suddenly, a system window pops onto the screen. Right before the boy asks the merchant, "Are you going to help or not?" Thinking this is his one shot, he steps up and decides to help the merchant. He snaps his bow up and hurls ice arrows straight at the goblins. His magic is still too puny to finish the job, but he somehow flares it just enough to make every enemy lock onto him. For a little while, the boy keeps his head straight and refuses to panic. A giant goblin starts closing in, and yeah, it's probably the leader, so you do not want to let it get within striking distance. Right when the enemy closes in on the MC, seconds from striking, he hurls his ice needles again, blam, straight into the monster's eye. That's the only original magic he's got, and yeah, it's weak as hell, but it still hits hard and gets results. When the goblin drops its knife to the ground, Makoto snatches it up in a flash. Alright, now we lock in on that exact situation. He bursts forward and drives the knife straight into the enemy's chest. Then he unleashes his freezing power and brings everything to a dead stop, to rip the monster apart from the inside, with his RPG player power blazing through him. He scans everything happening around him, taking it all in like he's already clocked the next move. Every goblin paused mid-breath to stare at the fight, hooked like they'd just witnessed the start of something huge. And just like that, the MC's magic supply hits empty. He can't summon a single drop of water anymore. The monsters come barreling in at full speed, every single one at once, closing in on him fast. Makoto sprints like his life depends on it, chasing down any water he can find nearby. Right when he nears the lake, he whips around to check if the enemies are still hot on his heels. Then he whips out his water-walking magic and steps straight across. And just like that, the goblins tumble straight into it, swooping in right at the perfect moment. Makoto whips the lake into a roaring whirlpool with a single move, ruthlessly wiping out every last one of those monsters. Somehow he pulled it off, and when the dust settled, he stood there victorious. The boy rushes up to the merchant, asks if he's all right, then proudly tells him he wiped out every last goblin, as a way of showing real gratitude. The man slaps a bag of coins into his hands and he demands the MC come with him to the city. The two strike a deal right then and there, and we dive headfirst into that journey together. Makoto slips in while that guy's dead asleep and shuts down his clarity of mind, letting him finally breathe easy for a moment. After that move, his life got yanked back just a little more time. Even so, the grim truth won't let up. He's still slated to die in just 9 years. Suddenly, the boy blinks, and the next moment, he's dropped into a place he's never seen before. A girl pops up and tells Makoto it's awesome to finally meet him. He's completely thrown off, staring at her like, "Who are you?" And she bursts in, introducing herself like a goddess from the heavens. The girl blurts that she's had her eyes on him since the very start, and now she's sure it's time they get just a little closer. That goddess's move ripped open his memories, back to the moment he met Sophia and begged her for divine protection. He craved to become a devoted follower of the water goddess, and begged the heavens for divine protection. But the girl stormed off, telling him he had to train a little more first. Now Makoto can't wrap his head around it. Why would the goddess herself go out of her way to contact him? She tells him he doesn't have to swallow the same god everyone on Earth worships. The MC lines in and demands the goddess's name. He's praying that this goddess will bless him and send his level soaring. The girl clutches the secret, swears it stays hidden, and the boy just rolls with it, accepting her answer without a fight. He wonders if he can even become an adventurer in this world, and the goddess snaps that his worry isn't the danger, it's his low status. She asks Makoto if he's got skills beyond belief, and he shakes his head, saying he's nowhere near a warrior or a mage. The girl leans in and asks if he can remember any of his classmates, and drops the chilling truth that they're either dead or just plain missing. Turns out when they tried to take down that demon with god-tier powers, they totally failed. And they strutted around, way too sure they couldn't be beaten. With a clear mind, she stays calm and stays greedy-free, because the whole RPG player vision thing, she's absolutely hooked. With this power, he can watch every angle in a full 360 degrees, and shut down ambushes with terrifying ease. Makoto leans in and fires off, "You watched me from the start, so why didn't you talk to me sooner?" The goddess admits she had to stay away because the water temple belongs to the water goddess, but now she's done playing nice, and she wants the boy to join her as one of her followers. For that boy, the goddess gave off something way too suspicious to trust. In most RPGs, those convenient options aren't help at all, they're traps dressed up to trick you. So he declares he'll blaze his own trail and wrestle with that idea. The goddess grips his cloak and pleads with him, "Don't you dare go," saying it's a total honor for a goddess to speak straight to her follower's face. But the MC realizes right then that it's all painfully true, because even the priest can only reach the gods by speaking through his own voice. Makoto can't believe that goddess is even real, so he questions her, and the girl explodes, yelling yes, like it's obvious because she's a goddess, and of course she can read his mind with zero effort. She shoots out her hand, clamps onto the boy's and tells him. It's a brutal leap into that world, and he's dying to know. Does he really refuse to follow her, or is it all a lie? Makoto takes a step back and asks, "Can I step out for a bit?" Even with her begging like her life depends on it, his RPG player skills still tip the odds in her favor. He watches the whole argument like he's outside the room, and that steady, unshaken calm keeps him locked in and composed. Still, it feels way too suspicious that a goddess would whip out her magical charm just to recruit him. Then the little goddess flips out and starts throwing a full-on tantrum. And she slams herself to the ground, sobbing because after hundreds of years, this is the first time she's finally got a shot at a follower. But she's ready to do anything at all, for him to become her follower, even though he has zero clue what's swirling in that mysterious girl's mind. If she's so pumped about what's happening, she's probably going to treat him right. The system shoots one brutal question at the boy. Will he pledge himself as the goddess's follower? And he confirms it on the spot. A spark of energy hits her, and she starts bouncing with pure excitement. Then she lines in and demands a peek into the boy's soul book. He points, then hands it straight to her. Then Makoto takes a huge leap and becomes the very first follower of that goddess, right out of the gate, apparently. She's a forgotten, unpopular goddess. Barely anyone cares that she exists. And now the MC can't wait to find out what wild blessing is about to land in his life. She blurts out, "I'm still a lesser goddess. I can't pull that off, but if you pray to me every single day." Who knows how he plans to make up for it? She slips him a tiny dagger, forged by a goddess so unbreakable it refuses to shatter. Now the goddess drops the news that her time's up, turns to leave, and bids everyone a tearful goodbye. But before he can move, the boy demands instructions first. As her very first follower, the goddess leans in and drops just one instruction. He needs to be downright unstoppable. That's not an order, it's a request, plain and simple. Because he's the only one she's got following her. And she's betting everything on that boy. The goddess refuses to forgive him, she's done with him for good. Or else he's going to die. A boy jolts awake in the middle of the day, like something just yanked him out of sleep. And he realizes the dagger he swiped from those goblins the day before is crushingly powerful and way more efficient when it grips that weapon. The boy bows and thanks his goddess, like he's trying to earn her favor one heartfelt word at a time. Then he hitches up with the merchant and rockets off toward the city of water. In that city, the church rules everything, and right at its most beautiful tower stands Sophia, who runs the whole water nation when they finally crash into the city. The boy stops and realizes, yeah, it's every bit as beautiful as it looks. Streams carved through every street like they were stitched together. The merchant waved the boy goodbye and thanked him, praising the escort he provided. The main character barrels off on a mission, determined to track down Fuji, and stumbles into an absolutely massive store. Where Makoto spots something and his eyes immediately lock in, he realizes that, with his solid skills, he pulled it off. 9 months later, he had his own store. But the moment the MC walks in, the girl steps up and greets him right off the bat. Fuji has always been absolutely obsessed with animal girls in video games. So yeah, it tracks. He hired that girl for his store to make everything click. The MC bends down and asks the little girl, "Is this Fuji's store, my friend's place?" She quizzes whether he's scouting for business, and he fires back that he's not, he's the boy's friend. The seller's jaw drops, then blurts out, "Wait, are you from another world?" And Makoto answers on the spot. The moment the four-eyed boy shows up, the girl bolts off to call Fuji and get the truth about his friend. He couldn't believe it, there he was, right in front of him, Makoto, the real deal. The MC notices the boy, doing insanely well later on. Two best friends hook up at a bar and the MC lanes in and asks, "Yo, is Fuji's business still doing all right?" He nods and says yes, and Nina proves she's an absolutely top-notch assistant. Watching his friend, Makoto blurts out that he never knew Fuji had that kind of secret. But the boy swears it helps him shake off the tension and loosen up even more. Also, it's become a routine. Right after work, he grabs a drink every time, and then, right as the waitress rolls up with the dishes, the MC digs in and grins because that food tastes unbelievably good. Fuji snaps that he's freaking out because it's been a whole year and he still hasn't heard a single word from his friend. Then the MC spills that he was the final one out of the temple, and that the day before he'd come to the aid of someone who got attacked by goblins. Fuji is left completely stunned. Makoto realizes it was all way easier than he thought, thanks to how cleanly he used his skills, and he decides he'll register as an adventurer the very next day to start his work. The MC leans in and asks his friend one more time if he's okay with the business. Then the guy cracks and admits he got crushed by debt the moment he opened the store. Still, somehow he came out on top, because he managed to snag that adorable bunny girl. Fuji clocks it instantly. She's not just an assistant, she's also a bodyguard. Then Four Eyes starts spilling exactly what he did after he slipped out of the temple. He clocked in at a company, then used his skills to tear across the entire continent. He pushed non-stop, slept barely a wink, and still, because his skills were that. He snagged a whole stack of items, sold them for top dollar, and that's when a guy inside the company stepped in, showed him the ropes, and pushed him toward real independence. And now he's still drowning in debt to that same person. Even so, the MC can't help noticing, this guy is absolutely crushing it. He starts bragging about his skills, because he remembers every single conversation, he never has to jot anything down. And everybody's jaw drops when they see just how perfectly he remembers everything. But once he got a little better, he started slipping into people's thoughts, reading their minds like it was nothing. With that power, he can read anyone's thoughts and turn them into text. Makoto realizes this could be a goldmine in business. The guy backs it up, but then admits the real nightmare. Trying to explain these abilities to anyone else is brutally hard. The MC asks if it's fine for Fuji to tell him, and the other guy snaps back that there's literally no one else he can confess to. Chugging another beer, Makoto shrugs and says it's all good. He already hooked up with a second guy who can read minds. Then the MC lanes in and spills the wild tale of the goddess who stormed into his dream and forced a bond between them. Fuji's eyes lock onto the dagger the guy just took, and he immediately asks, "Mind if I check it out?" Makoto suddenly hears the goddess's voice warning him that this is a terrible idea. Buzzing with excitement, the boy blurts out that this stuff is rare, magical, and absolutely unheard of. The Four Eyes finally lets loose a grin, and then starts seriously digging into the dagger, studying it like it might bite back. Then he leans in and questions the MC like, "Are you 100% sure that weapon was gifted by a goddess?" And the MC nods, confirming it without hesitation. Turns out that dagger was blessed by the goddess of evil. No wonder it feels like it's got bad intentions, Noah. That goddess felt shady in his gut, and before long he realized he'd been a follower of a cruel one. At least now he finally knows her name. They say the rules of that world didn't just shift once. Mythology insists they rewrote everything 3 separate times. The creator god who shaped the world took the throne first, then his children, the Titans, seized power and ruled for ages. Eventually, those ancient gods let their power go to their heads and started treating everyone like they didn't matter. Anyone who dared to stand against them was hailed as a sacred goddess. Soon enough, a brutal war erupted between the ancient gods and the sanctified gods. Of course, the sacred gods crushed the battle, stood victorious, and seized the crown as the leaders of the heavenly realm. Now the ancient gods are branded as evil gods, packed away and sealed somewhere no one can find, lurking in a silent corner of the spiritual realm. At the water temple, Fuji finally learned the truth, at least that's what he walked away believing. Now he's desperate to find out whether his friend will keep worshipping that goddess and stay her devoted follower. That dagger is unreal because it's blessed by a goddess. It unleashes some seriously wild power. It's the most brutal weapon Fuji has ever laid eyes on, power like nothing he's seen before. And it should be guarded like a national treasure. That was the first time he'd snagged the top prize since getting thrown into this world. But that contract with the evil god keeps gnawing at his nerves. Now the MC weighs whether to confront the goddess and finally get the truth straight. Makoto remembers Noah swore she'd always be watching, and now he can't stop wondering, is she really there, and why won't she show up or talk to him? Now the MC steels himself, weighing whether he should keep following that goddess or walk away for good, and Fuji jumps in. Tell me what you need, I've got you. One day he decides he's gotta spill juicy gossip to his best friend, and drops the bombshell that the great demon is about to claw its way back to life within the next 10 years. 6 of the 7 oracles got the prophecy straight from the great god, and are now hunting for a hero to fix this mess. Every continent has to buckle down and get stronger, because the fight ahead is coming fast and it won't wait. Ever since the gossip surfaced, Fuji keeps pushing him to spill what his friends are planning next. And the MC declares he's out to level up as an adventurer. That chubby guy grins and says they should team up with Nina, because dungeons always spit out high-value loot. Makoto thanks him for the invite, then decides to kick off his adventures solo, because he wants to sharpen his water skills just a little more before he goes full speed. As they step out of the bar, the MC's best friend begs him to crash at his place, but the boy shakes his head and refuses. So he heads straight to the guild and crashes for the night in a loud, packed shared room. Deep in the darkness, he snaps back to life in a completely strange place. And right in front of him, the goddess is on her knees. Makoto stares at Noah on his knees and blurts out, "Why are you down there?" He demanded she stand up, but the girl looks scared, like she's afraid the boy might cut ties and stop following her. She still sounds desperate to snag a follower, and then she blurts out that she's the real deal, truthfully. Even if she's an ancient goddess, she still can't escape what's coming. Makoto tells the sweet goddess to find a new follower, but Noah freaks out, because once nobody believes in a god, that god's power vanishes. All the other gods seized control of everything, and they just left her stranded to the side. She jabs at the dagger and asks if it's not good enough, and the MC snaps back that it's downright reckless to expect her to be treated like the evil goddess just because she got caught during a simple weapon evaluation. The goddess scrambles to defend herself, insisting that a normal gift never would have been able to do something like that. As Noah crumples on the ground, sobbing, the MC can't believe his eyes because he can't see her as an evil goddess. She leans in and tells him, "That's just what the holy god's followers call me." Makoto refuses to believe that their first meeting was anything but real. So he nods and commits to staying her follower. Deep down he couldn't help but smile, because after stumbling into that world, all he'd faced was disdain, until that goddess finally pulled him into a real embrace. Hanging on to the boy, Noah declares he's her beloved follower, and begs him to grow stronger with every passing day. Makoto says it feels totally staged, and the goddess fires back that she's giving it everything she's got. Before he leaves for the next goodbye, our hero leans in and asks the goddess one burning question: does she still have no mission for him at all? And she presses him, grilling him on why he wants something like that so badly. Smiling, he tells Noah that getting a mission is pure special magic. Then Noah's mind suddenly sparks with an idea. She insists she'll save everyone who's stuck behind bars for crimes committed against the holy gods. Turns out the ancient gods aren't locked up in the same place at all, they're trapped somewhere else. And even humans can't reach it because she's a young goddess and the distance feels impossible. She stays put in this specific spot, right where humans can finally reach her. They're trapped inside a sunken temple deep under the ocean waves. A labyrinth so deep it feels like it touches the end of the world, and it's one of the most brutal dungeons anyone dares to survive. Noah lets out a giggle and teases, asking if the MC wants to quit the mission. But he refuses to drop the idea now. And just like that, he declares, "I'm heading there." Makoto clenched her resolve and swore she'd save her, no matter what it took. She's overwhelmed because the goddess is honestly grateful he chose to follow her. She seizes the moment and tells him, "Pray every single day and you'll unlock extra abilities. then you'll be even more useful for staying at my side. Noah tells him, wake up when you're ready, go rescue her, because she'll be right there, waiting calmly for you. The goddess promises that if he frees her, she'll grant his every demand, no matter what he asks. Then the main character snaps awake the very next day. Today his soul book flipped open on its own, and the goddess's name shot into place. Now the MC straps in and gives it everything he's got for this mission. That's the day his life as an adventurer ignites. First, he fights for the bigger goal, evolve, grow stronger, and crank up his chances of living longer. The guild receptionist thrusts his card into his hands and swears every achievement will be stamped on it. No one can fake a thing. Because the boy is itching to start his mission immediately, the receptionist hands him one that's perfectly matched to his level. But Makoto won't let it go. He's craving a monster-killing mission, and he's pissed it's only for teams. The MC picks a mission on the spot to capture horned rabbits. And the girl lights up telling him, this is perfect. If monsters pop up on your way, wipe them out and grab the rewards. But at his current level, she won't have him risk it. If danger shows up, he needs to bail. In the end, Makoto never runs into an orc, but his stubborn resolve stays locked in. He's not starting a fight for absolutely nothing. He tears off toward the forest, the monster capital where they all lurk. Even so, those horned rabbits are crazy cute. Monsters, straight up terrifying ones. Every monster's danger is scored from 0 to 8, and you can feel the threat level climbing. And those rabbits are ranked at 0, so basically, anyone can wipe the floor with them. After a few steps, the MC spots 3 of them, even though they never turn their sights on humans. They swarm in like a nightmare, wrecking fields and slaughtering livestock to the bone. Even after smashing those bunnies, they refuse to die, because the boy's magic is nowhere near strong enough to wipe them out. So he lunges in with his dagger, ready to end it right there. A warning screen blares out that danger is lurking right nearby. And the boy realizes he has to bolt, run as far away as he possibly can. Even though he's right next to the magical forest, where fog chokes the air and you can't see a thing, his gamer visibility kicks in and he strides through it calmly like it's no big deal. Now Makoto's pacing, lost in thought, figuring out his next move, one heartbeat at a time. The system suddenly demands, so, are you going to take the goblin on? And the boy doesn't hesitate, he confirms it. He's pushing forward with one goal, destroy the enemy. Unlocking the world with his geolocation skill. He tracks down the goblin's location. Then he barrels in from behind and slams into it. Everyone is stunned because the MC didn't just fight the goblin, he tore it down all by himself. 3 months earlier, he carried out the mission beside the horned rabbits, and when the guild heard he wiped out 5 goblins, they were absolutely stunned. The guild receptionist could barely process what was happening in front of her. So yeah, the MC never felt a shred of guilt. Everything he did was pure, jaw-dropping brilliance. From that moment on, Makoto tore through goblins every single day, wiping them out again and again. In sheer desperation, the receptionist blurts out, asks the boy if that means goblins are creeping near the city. But the MC fires back that he's the one out there hunting these monsters. The little girl blurts out that the magical forest is way too dangerous for beginner adventurers. People think he's pushing himself way too hard, grinding like crazy just to climb that adventurer rank. Sure, but Makoto doesn't just settle. He's plotting to stretch his life way past its limits. The MC just stumbled on a seriously efficient way to do it, and now he's got it all figured out. Finally, a way to wipe those goblins out for good. In the end, the world started calling him the Goblin Cleaner. At dinner all across the city, folks leaned in and whispered about just how skilled he really was. There are so many places around. And our hero's got a favorite. Those juicy meat-on-a-stick skewers come from hunted horned rabbits. Ever since his first mission for that place, the boy kept sprinting back there, day after day. On that one, Makoto blasted through 22 goblins and hunted 5 rabbits, just like he asked to have sent to the establishment. The man blurts out, so you're not a boy, right? But for that retired warrior, it feels wild that this boy, stuck at level 14, won't stop insisting it's goblins. A little bearded guy named Lucas strides up, flashes a grin, and greets the stall owner. Then the guy leans in and asks, so, how far did you make it this time? Lucas admits he's been out for 5 whole days slaughtering sand dragons, and he's miserable because he couldn't even sneak a drink along the way. He's a golden rank veteran and the boss's longtime right-hand man. Lucas munches on a skewer, then leans in and asks Makoto why he won't push forward to explore dungeons, only for the MC to grin and say he's got one plan. Wait until he hits level 20. The boss and Lucas let out furious, indignant sighs at the whole mess. saying that for someone this battle-hardened, there's no need to be this paranoid. Mary strides up, flashes a confident smile, and orders drinks for everyone there. She's the guild receptionist, keeper of the front desk, and she handles every single adventurer who walks in through those doors. And after work, she cracks open a drink every single day. Mary always swears that her first post-work drink tastes like pure perfection, but Lucas can't wrap his head around why she's still stuck there, instead of hunting down a real place with people. For a split second, Mary's exhausted by the grind of being a receptionist, and she decides she'd rather just enjoy life her way. The receptionist suddenly wraps him in a tight hug and showers him with sweet praises, totally flirting like she's got a crush. To dodge that crushing embarrassment, he has to switch on his calm mind right now. That girl is basically a legend. Every adventurer swears by her like an idol. So yeah, it makes him look bad, like he's getting special treatment from her. The MC clocked that Mary was way too drunk, but when he called it out, she smirked and told him, this is only the start. She's the kind of woman who cheers for every adventurer, and when she's drunk, her guard drops and she gets sappy, so people misread her feelings. Even so, the MC swears he can keep his cool, no matter how messy the situation gets. Adventure or Gene rushes up, grumbling that the kid's acting like he's above everyone just because he's out there hunting goblins. He's brand new in the city, yet in just 6 months, he's already leveled up like crazy. Gene's got major jealousy for the MC. He leveled up in just 3 months, and Lucas tells him to stop pushing him away and get closer, backing him side by side. Mary snaps at Gene, telling him not to treat Makoto like dirt just because he's a total sweetheart. Gene is a handful for the boy. He shows up in a trio, and it's weird as hell how 2 girls are always right there with him. His companions try to brush it off fast, insisting Gene has nothing to worry about when it comes to Makoto. Turns out this warrior is tracking an ogre right now, because that fight is going to level him up for sure. Gene is gunning to break into the steel rank before our hero even gets there. Mary snaps at the MC to ignore that clueless adventurer, while Makoto stays stone calm as he hunts goblins. Lucas jeers at him, mocking how killing goblins isn't exactly careful work, yet to Makoto, it's effortless and basically a daily routine. There's absolutely no way anything bad could ever happen. The very next day, the boy tore through 20 goblins and annihilated every single one. And then later, he plans to go hunting rabbits. A sudden blast rips through the air, and Makoto's heart jumps as he scans for danger lurking nearby. With sheer skill, the MC snaps into action, sketching a path to track down the enemy. Then bam, he stumbles on a colossal ogre looming in his path. Jumping into a fight with an enormous, god-level enemy right off the bat is pure, high-stakes suicide. So he starts thinking about rushing back to the guild to tell them everything. Then a blood-curdling scream rips through the air. Gene and his team just got ambushed, again, by that massive monster. Even after Lucas warned Gene to be careful, she clearly didn't listen, because for the adventurer and their crew, that kind of carelessness is deadly. And Gene doesn't care about anything except rescuing the nun. This sends the mage stumbling behind, drowned in despair. Trying to get away, the mage sprints, then trips mid-run and crashes to the ground. Turns out this situation is absolutely terrible for her. Then the system blurts out the question, does the MC want to save her? Makoto refuses, deciding not to help because it could wreck his ranking, and even Noah tells him to leave the girl behind. But the young man can't shake the guilt, and it eats at his conscience. And the ogre is standing right in front of her, towering over her as it raises itself to end her life. From far away, Gene yells at the mage to bolt before it's too late. But he's got no power to come to her rescue, refusing to let the little girl's life be lost for nothing. And our hero launches an icy barrage of needles straight into the ogre. Then panic detonates in him and he blares, "Run, get out of here." The mage storms off and the MC digs in, staying right there to finish the fight. Then his goddess roars that she'll never forgive him if he so much as dies. Makoto yanks out his dagger, eyes locked in, ready to dive headfirst into that battle. The MC knows he can't rush, he's got to play this move smart and careful. But right then, his magical power was nearly gone. Even after taking all that damage, he still refuses to go down. The ogre keeps tearing itself back together, regenerating over and over. Because his magic makes his attack power tiny, he has no choice but to bite down on fear and dodge, so that's exactly what the MC does. If that monster stomps on him, death hits like a lightning strike, instant, no warning. At least his skill keeps panic from taking over. Thanks to his wicked mapping skills, he tracked the way and stumbled straight into a swamp. With the last of his water magic, the young man strides across the swamp, ready to bait the enemy and draw them in. Smogging the air with mist blinds the enemy, so they can't even see what's happening. Then he roars at the monster, daring it to chase him. The creature crashes straight into that trap. After some time, with his magic still roaring, Makoto grabs the monster using water tentacles, then it's finally defeated. Jean's jaw drops, he still can't wrap his head around it. The MC just took down that creature all by himself. The tiny adventurer lanes in and insists they've got to run this mess straight to the guild. Makoto snaps at him to drag the ogre's head straight back to the city. Lucas is flaunting that head like a trophy, celebrating hard, and daring everyone to guess who really took down the enemy. I'm insanely pumped. He introduces Makoto and makes it clear he's done being just a goblin annihilator. Now the entire city can't stop praising him, like he's a legend walking the streets. And that's it, no more nicknames about goblins. The chief declares that on that very day, Makoto becomes the hero. But the MC's mind is locked on one thing, a damn good nap. While the young man slams back a glass of water. The mage he'd saved earlier shows up and starts talking to him. Red hair, piercing eyes, she's drop-dead gorgeous, and those sharp pointed ears. Yeah, she's totally an elf. The mage introduces herself as Lucy and then, straight up with gratitude, thanks Makoto for saving her. After he finally crushed the ogre, his life stretched by a week, but all the emotional chaos drained it right back by another week, so now he's swearing off ogres for a while. Lucy can't believe he wiped out an ogre by himself, but the MC brushes it off as nothing more than pure luck. The girl blurts out that she's got advanced magic, but she's totally at a loss for how to control it. But she can't help it, she has to know how he picks up skills so fast because, even with raw strength on her side, this elf still hasn't mastered a single thing, yet. The girl leans in and asks if he's got enchantment magic. He nods and admits it, because in the end, if he doesn't, his power will be nothing but empty value. But for Lucy, that's way too much. Then the MC drops the bomb. He only started learning magic a year and 3 months ago. He swears he didn't come from this world at all, he came from another one. The elf presses him, asking if he's one of those heroes who shows up every so often, but the MC shuts it down fast, saying he was only a classmate of those legends. His classmates with real power shot to fame fast, but he's nowhere near that spotlight. The elf practically bursts with excitement and blurts out that people from other worlds are absolutely amazing. But Makoto blurts out that his rank is way down there. She cuts him off mid-explanation and shoots back, so you don't want to team up with me. Since he's totally wiped out, he can't even trigger his calm mind skills, and that leaves his nerves screaming as the situation closes in. That elf's face is suddenly way too close for comfort. Jean and Emily jump to their feet, glaring with full-on outrage. Lucy's staring at her like, are you really gonna quit the team the moment you join? But Lucy shuts it down fast. Don't worry, I don't deal with anyone who ditches me. Jean blurts out that he couldn't possibly save both of them, but Lucy snaps back that she doesn't need a leader who calls himself powerless. To calm the chaos brewing between the nun and the elf, Lucas and Mary have to step in to stop them, so Lucas lanes in and asks Jean, do you have anything you want to tell Makoto? Swallowed by worry over everything that was about to go down, Jean throws out a heartfelt apology for everything, and then grabs the MC's shoulder to thank him for saving his life. But the boy shrugs it off like it's nothing, because Jean takes everything way too seriously. Lucas blurts out, so you're really joining the MC, Lucy, or are you just playing with us? And she blurts out, yes. The system bluntly asks if that's exactly what Makoto wants. He loves Lucy's drive to get closer, but he can't ignore how sloppy her skills are, and he worries that'll crush her spirit fast. So he refuses the plea. Then our hero looks Lucy in the eye and vows he'll keep fighting solo. The elf fires off a furious why, and the MC just shrugs, admitting he doesn't even know her. Trying to go toe-to-toe and win the argument about what really happened. Makoto shoves his status sheet into her hands and bluntly tells her how crushingly disappointing it is. Jean, the nun, and Lucy stare at the status sheet, and their faces fall because it's utterly terrible. Mary steps in and snaps, you're way too weak, kid, but you're holding it together impressively on your own. Lucas marvels at the MC's status, because the wildest part isn't the rank, it's the magic skill, absurdly high like it doesn't even make sense. In that moment, Lucy stared at him like he'd completely lost his mind. He tells you he drilled his magic into pure efficiency, because with how little power he's got, wasting even a spark would spell disaster. So yeah, Lucy needs to ditch this and find someone else. But the elf shrugs it off like it doesn't even faze her. She scrambles to prove she's legit, saying her fire magic class is real, and that lands her among the most advanced options, so the MC is left totally clueless on what to do next. Makoto can't help wondering if there aren't plenty of teams desperate to claim her, but Lucy cuts in. She knows, in her position, she'd rather choose the team she joins herself. The nun snaps that's not how this works, because Lucy keeps getting booted from every team that takes her in every single time in less than a month. As the month rolls on, the two girls start clashing again. Lucas steps in, saying Lucy's got real skills, she just can't control them, and that's why teams keep cutting her loose as they watch the whole mess unfold. Makoto can't help but worry. Without magic on his side, they're about to be a pretty rough team. Logic's sitting there in her head, right under the surface, but she doesn't have a clue how to actually use it. Still, Lucy clenches her jaw and refuses to stop. She trains like crazy so they can evolve. Walking beside a real mage is too tempting to ignore, so the system presses again and demands, does he want to team up with Lucy? Lucas says he can put a team together and figure out where it all leads. Mary grins and says it's a brilliant idea. And the boss straight up declares that companions are the core of everything. The MC's already seen this in games, how they grab people by force, then turn them into a squad. And just like that, he nods and agrees to team up with Lucy. That's how he struck his very first partnership after landing in this world. With everything going sideways, Makoto got thrown into that world, and the second he landed, a brutal status flashed in front of him. He knew he should go solo, but when the dust settled, he finally rallied a team instead. Lucy lights up and blurts, so where are we going? And the MC grins, saying, we're headed near the demon forest, where I usually hunt goblins. The elf warns that goblins are creeping closer to the city, and Makoto just shrugs. He's been dealing with that nightmare for ages. He's got one mission in his head: watch this girl unleash every ounce of power and see exactly what she's capable of. The MC realizes he's got to stay perfectly calm. His mind ability can't ever slip because he's standing next to a girl this beautiful. He shoots a question, Lucy, are you an elf? And she grins and says she hails straight from the elf village. Stunned, he blurts out whether elves really always have red hair and red eyes. But the girl insists she's a mix of races, and suddenly you realize maybe that question just crossed the line. Lucy tells them her grandfather was the village chief, so if anyone dares to mistreat her for her impure blood, they'll get kicked out for good. Makoto can't help but point out to Fuji that his very first companion is an elf. That's the perfect story to bring up. Lucy's nerves spike as she asks the MC if her not being a pure elf really bothers him, but he shakes it off and tells her he only asked because she's the very first elf he's seen in this world. Talking with a teammate gets messy in the worst way. And then bam, an awkward silence drops like a stone. The duo strides up to a rushing river, and Lucy snaps a warning that crossing here can turn deadly, yet the boy stays completely unshaken. He strides across the water like it's solid ground. For the elf, it's maddening he can cast magic, yet he's stuck using it in the most pointless way imaginable. No matter what she tries, the girl never manages to master water magic. But Makoto grabs her hand and tells her, don't worry, I've got you. Clutching the girl, he whips up his water magic and rides the current across the river. Lucy looks totally rattled and blurts that she just needs to breathe for a second. Maybe I pushed it too far. So yeah, they hit pause right then. Lucy clocks how the boy tears through the world at lightning speed, then blurts out, wait, are we already in the demon forest? First, the MC snaps into focus and admits they really are surrounded by 40 goblins, but then they grin and swear it's all going to be fine. When he begs her to show her magic, she tells him it'll take 3 long minutes to charge up. So he storms outside to hunt the nearby monsters, and the elf braces to unleash her abilities. Lucy's stomach drops being alone in that forest. She can't even spot where any creature is lurking. Out of nowhere, a goblin lunges straight into the girl's path, and she jolts in shock. Makoto steps up and tells him it's okay. Then silence strikes back, and that's the real enemy, and drops him with one brutal blow. Lucy locks eyes on the boy's power, and it's straight up unreal, because he can pull off a whole storm of powers without even muttering a single spell. Makoto flashes a grin and says it's all easy, but the girl snaps back furious, because to her it absolutely is. He's already wiped out 10 goblins today, and he's not done yet. And that's wild, seriously, for a kid with those tiny stats. He somehow links up and hits with crazy efficiency the moment battle starts. Now that the streets are clear of enemies, Makoto grabs Lucy's attention and demands to see her power firsthand. Then she starts blasting her incantations. At that point, not a single team in the city wants her near, and the guild doesn't care about her one bit. So she's got to stay in control right now. No way she can ruin everything at this exact moment. The girl's fireball keeps swelling, ballooning larger and larger with every second. Then it blows up like massive asterisk to the point where it's absolutely gigantic. And she rockets that power forward. And then boom, her magic finally clicks and it works. Lucy is buzzing with excitement, and Makoto can't stop raving about how amazing it is. But when they glance to the side, the fire hits harder than they expected. They realize the forest isn't just burning, it's blazing like it's out of control. She's standing there panicking with nothing left to do but blast it with water and smother the flames. But the second they roll back into the city, exhaustion hits them both like a truck. The chief squints and goes, "You all look absolutely wrecked today." After that incident, they burst into action and sprinted to smother the flames, chaos everywhere, and it turned into a full disaster. Terrifying monsters crashed onto the road ahead, no warning at all. When they finally stumbled back into the city, they got hit with a brutal ban, no fire magic ever in the Great Forest. The chief admits it was a full-on disaster, then bluntly says pulling together is way harder than it looks. Lucy asks Makoto straight up if he's mad at her. She's terrified he'll kick her out of the group on the spot, but the MC shakes it off. Relax, it's only day one. The elf storms in and says she's gotten kicked out of groups on day one, again and again. Makoto suggests she might just need to hold back and use less power, but the girl snaps back that that's exactly her weakest power. Then he leans in and tells her to try something that isn't fire magic. Lucy shoots back that she can't, then thrusts her status sheet into his hands. She's royalty of the fire magic, an elite spiritual mage who commands flames like they're her birthright. Lucy tells them straight up she's only ever been trained to wield fire magic. So yeah, she's still stuck, she can't use the others at all. Because she's an elf, she's packed with spiritual magic, but controlling it is a total nightmare. Makoto watches her like, this is a ton of effort for someone who can't even tame her own power. For now, they've just gotta drill their fire magic until it finally obeys. Lucy drags out her magic training for ages, but once it clicks, her power is downright insane, so we'll draw the enemy's attention and trust her to handle the rest. Sounds like a good plan, but that light magic is treacherous. One wrong move and it'll get him killed. Sometimes her flame tears in two, and sometimes it twists the wrong way. Sometimes it was so close they might have ended up as barbecue. They even tried other stuff besides fire magic, but since she'd never trained a single thing, every spell took ages to go off. Every day they grind for hours to practice, and Lucy keeps throwing problems in their way. While they chow down at a bustling restaurant, the girl fires off a furious complaint. She can't use magic and nothing at all will work. Even with that wild power, she can't control a single thing. Makoto doesn't want to crush her spirit, so he leans in and asks if her level has shot up. She says just hit 1 point and boom, she's level 11 now, but to really unleash her power the right way, she's got to reach level 50. Then the MC claims he boosted his magic skill by another whole point, and it's wild, because he's already absurdly strong and there's no way he should be leveling up that fast. They train side by side every single day, so of course the boy levels up too. Makoto's money is bleeding out because he's been grinding nonstop in training, and it's starting to wreck his finances. Lucy looks completely rattled, and he's got no clue how to get her to smile again. The elf blurts that she wants to become a mage just like her mother, and the MC lines in, asking whether she's famous or not. Lucy shoots back another question, does Makoto even have any goals in life? Then he blurts out that he's going to clean the ocean's temple down at the bottom. The girl's eyes widen in pure shock, because it's the absolute hardest temple to scrub clean, and demands to know why he picked that temple out of every single one. If he just cleans the Zenith Tower, he'll become immortal. No one has ever reached the temple at the bottom of the ocean. It's been out of reach since the beginning. Makoto boasts that he's mastered water magic, and if he really locks in, taking that temple by force won't be hard at all. Lucy points out that ocean spirits are swarming around the temple, and then drops the bombshell that even the Ocean King, Leviathan, is down there. The MC insists he can totally slip under the radar and disappear. But the girl swears you can't ever hide from spirits. Lucy tried to stop the boy, but it didn't work. He talks her into taking the leap, and suddenly it feels like it might actually be worth trying. And the girl erupts with excitement. Turns out they've gotten a lot closer as a team now that they finally know each other's goals. Looks like everything's about to click into place and go wild any second now. At first, they weren't aiming for anything less than giving it their absolute all. But the moment he caught on, the MC was already side by side with Jean and the nuns, tearing into their shared enemy. First, rewind the story a little. because you've got to understand what really set everything in motion. Jean dragged Makoto onto a mission under the cover of just catching up, so he'd have a shot at grabbing those sweet rewards he couldn't stop thinking about. Lucy still clung to the bitter resentment of her old work partner. To beat this buffalo 3 times the size of a normal cow, you've got to bring everything you've got, and if you pull it off, you'll rake in some serious extra cash. Still, when the MC scoped out the mission, he realized the bison were stuck in plains, useless ground for someone who can master water. Jean tries to push back, claiming the goblins stay in the forest, and that Lucy is barred from going there. Because money might finally be on the line, the MC leans in and asks Lucy what she thinks about it, since everything they've done lately has basically been nothing but training. The girl finally buys into Makoto's plan and agrees to jump on that mission with him. And that's exactly how Jean and Emily ended up teaming up with them. On the big day, they stormed out to take that mission on, straight at the bison, ready to end it. Pulling up his location data, the MC finally spots the enemy. Even with all his magic, he can barely make them out, while Lucy's got elven vision, and she's spotting them from way farther away. Makoto blurted, "All right, now that we found the monster, what do we do next?" Then the elf grins and tells him she can strike it from far away. The crew flat out refuses to believe she can pull that off. And even the MC won't fully trust his partner. They cook up a faster, deadlier plan to tear the enemy down, where every single one steps up and plays their part. Right as the boy closes in on the target, he finally sees just how massive it is. If that monster lands a hit on him, his life will vanish in a single, brutal second. He locks in on Jean's cue, then charges into a full distraction to pull the enemy's attention away. Makoto snatches a tiny stone off the ground and hurls it straight into the bison's body, and bolts before anyone can stop him. But the creature's way faster than he ever imagined, and our hero dives aside at the very last second, barely escaping that incoming strike. But the monster grinds to a halt, then turns its fury on Lucy. Only after that do they finally clock the truth. The creature snaps out of control the moment it spots anything red. Lucy's fireball is already huge, and she goes in for the attack, only to realize she launched it way too soon. Once that bison locks onto a direction, nothing in the world can pull it off course. But the fireball was still way too tiny, so it slipped away untouched like it had a getaway plan. Unleashing his water magic. Magic sparks and the MC conjures an ice floor that sends the bison skidding out of control. Jean can't stop staring, this boy's skill is blowing his mind. But now the MC can't pull off that kind of spell again. His power is drained dry, and he turns to Lucy, begging her to recharge her firepower. Jean locks in on his decision to say it. He'll buy them a little time, then whip up a raging storm of wind to throw the bison off guard. Makoto can't help wondering how much time Lucy's magical spell will eat up before it finally ends. The MC steps up and declares, "I'll draw the monster's fire again, Jean, you stay back and wait." He snaps the bison's attention in an instant, which charges toward him again. As the creature closes in, he slams his last ice magic down, freezing a slick layer that blinds the monster for a short, terrifying moment. So if we do it this way, we'll land the hit for sure. But now the MC is completely drained. Every last bit of magical power is gone. Jean's nerves scream, but he still flashes confidence and promises he'll handle the rest. With his shield skill, Jean slams up a blazing barrier that blocks the incoming threat. That'll trap the monster just long enough to buy them some precious time. Emily yells at those two boys. Lucy is finally ready, and she's not holding back. She hurls a blazing fireball straight at the monster. Too fast to react, it's instantly caught in the blast. In a blink, the bison drops dead and hits the ground with a heavy thud. Jean's guilt crushes him. He swears he didn't do enough, until the MC grabs him and tells him, "You helped more than you think." The elf stares at the dead bison, clocks that it's wasting away from hunger, and realizes he can tear into it right where it lies. They're cheering like they finally survived the nightmare, because Lucy fought through the enemy and pulled it off in the end. Suddenly, Makoto senses something is right there, watching him. He blasts out a warning to the whole group. There's a terrifying enemy lurking close by. Suddenly, they spot a colossal winged beast looming over them, and it's moments away from wiping every last one of them out for good. After Dragon, griffins are basically the headliners of magical worlds, famous, feared, and straight-up dangerous. Back in his past life, the RPG games he used to dive into always had these creatures, and they were seriously fascinating. They usually show up as the bosses of some insanely hard level, daring you to beat them. So don't go hunting near a griffin while you're still low level. Jean snaps at them to back off. He swears that Griffin is hunting the bison's meat next. And that's when they lock onto their prey. There's no way you can match something that massive. As they scramble to put distance between them, the Griffin locks eyes on the whole group, sending a jolt straight through the MC and making him lose his nerve. Monsters that huge, just imagine them looming right in front of you. They usually go hunting for prey packed with serious magical power. Like Lucy, the Griffin isn't just hanging around, it's actually hunting her down. The monster barrels toward the elf, but the MC snaps into motion, dodging at the last second and yanking her away from death. And yep, they're gonna have to fight it head-on. When that Griffin comes roaring back for another strike. Then Makoto has to twist out of danger again, gripping the girl like his life depends on it. And just like that, the monster rakes the girl with a nasty scratch. Makoto can't dodge worth a damn when he's juggling two people at once. So our hero presses her, "Can you cast spells while you're dodging all those enemies?" And she snaps back that it's impossible. Lucy needs a moment to focus and cast her spell. Yeah, and dodging attacks while pulling that off, that's just not realistic. Jean watches it keep soaring like that, and he realizes they're not exactly going to have much to do before everything goes up in the sky. The Griffin is about to unleash magic straight at them, and the MC has to move right now if they want to escape. He still gets nailed, then gets blasted through the air and flung way off into the distance. Lucy gets slammed by the same attack too, and drops out cold, unconscious. To save the whole group, Jean grabs the Griffin's attention and makes it focus on him, only him. The kid keeps the monster's attention on him while he and Lucy scramble to recover, but one thing is for sure, the countdown to getting caught has already started. With almost no magic left, Makoto can barely do anything, and that goddess dagger of his, it just doesn't cut it against flying animals. With nowhere to hide out there in the open field, it's over for the whole group. This is where everything ends. Evil goddess Noah grabs Makoto's attention and tells him, straight up, that he's her #1 priority, and he can't stop wondering if the boy will really ditch his friends and leave them behind. But the MC refuses to run off and leave anyone behind while they scramble for escape. He cranks his focus to max, hunting for a plan that gets all 4 of them out alive. After sitting there for a few intense moments, he finally came to a decision. Makoto's mind sparks, he's got an idea. He yanks Lucy by the shoulder, and he presses the question, asking the elf if she trusts him. Lucy tells him, "You've saved me before." So she trusts that boy with her whole heart. Boy, he walks right up to Jean and demands she buys them some time. Jean slams his attention on the creature, pulling its focus away. The MC tells Lucy to crank up her magical power right now, because when it's time to seal everything, he's the one taking the final control. Makoto grips the girl and demands she speed things up. While he was still a student, the MC finally cracked a technique that let mages snap their magic into perfect control. It's a power you can only tap when your magical skill hits 50 or higher, and it's also the fastest way to whip someone into learning magic. That power won't fire unless he's got the right attributes, and this kid only knows water magic, but if his magical skill is that high, maybe Lucy can help it finally work. He's going to sync everything up, seize control of the real magic, and steer the attack exactly where it needs to hit. Unlike Lucy's magic, what he has is basically a raging tornado in human form, so the system snaps in and asks the boy, ready to sync up with Lucy's power. Even when he says yes, the system snaps back and demands it again. Because his choices are razor thin. He finally gives in, then yells for Jean to get out of the way. With a blast of fire magic, he whips a blazing tornado straight at the Griffin. Lucy's blown away by how solid the magic stays, but if the main character slips and loses control, things could spiral into disaster in an instant. The Griffin keeps scrambling to slip out of the incoming strike. But Lucy's power is so brutal that it just can't be stopped. Caught in the blast of a magical attack. Suddenly the creature starts dropping from the sky, crashing down as it falls. Jean swings and slices the head clean off. The enemy finally gets crushed for good. Emily's eyes well up and she rushes into Jean, wrapping him in a tight, heartfelt hug. Meanwhile, Lucy is in full-on despair, because Makoto is literally blazing like a human torch. Seeing that he's had a clear head this whole time, the young man shuts the power off on the spot. Right then, at that exact moment. Then everything starts slipping away from him, his world goes fuzzy until he crumples and faints. The MC snaps awake in that same old dream, then right there, Noah is waiting. But this time the goddess is seething, furious with him. She leans in and asks the boy, "Do you remember what the goddess told you last?" Noah told him the young man was her only follower, and if he died without a fight, she'd never forgive him. Makoto chose to sink with an attribute he's never mastered, and right on the heels of that decision, Lucy's magic came crashing down on him. The MC fires off, "Did I die?" And the goddess answers, "Not yet, we're scrambling right now to fix this the best way we can." His whole crew is sprinting straight for the city, desperate to reach him in time. Makoto rushes to Noah, throws out an apology for his reckless move, and the goddess hits back. Normally, those injuries would have been his death. But deep inside the boy's soul book. In this book, you've now got Goddess Noah's blessing shining over everything. Turns out those daily prayers he swore by every day paid off, because they delivered a blessing that literally saved his life. And there's one more huge win, he even becomes a spiritual user, just like Lucy. Noah leans in and tells everyone the truth. The gods and spirits are best friends, and that's exactly why he unlocked that power. The MC bows and thanks them for the blessing, then promises he'll put it to work in the best way possible. Now it's time for Makoto to unleash his awakening, and he demands to know if he can call Lucy in to back Noah as a follower. The goddess reveals the brutal truth. Because she was punished for daring to challenge the divine realm, she's allowed to claim just one follower every 10 years. Still, she can't stop smiling. Having Makoto right beside her feels amazing. They tear each other a final look, then walk off as the goodbye lands hard. And the young man snaps awake, only to find himself sprawled on a bed, wrapped in bandages. Lucy stays right beside him, holding her breath as she waits for him to finally wake up. She rushes in and wraps him in a tight hug as soon as she realizes he's still alive. Emily bursts onto the scene and tells Lucy, "Be careful, because that unconscious boy at noon could spell trouble." The guild hit total panic when they found out the monster waiting for them was high risk. Lucy and Jean became instantly legendary, because they were the heroes who finally brought that griffin down. Right then, a massive party is blasting in front of the guild. Makoto blurts out that Jean must be having the time of his life since he charms every girl, and Emily suddenly dashes off to stop her beloved before he starts flirting with everyone else. The MC blurts out, "Lucy, don't you want to crash the party?" Since she's the hero of the moment, then Lucy's like, "Nah, I just want to stay right here with you." And she couldn't believe it. This young man's timing was perfect, and he could even reshape fire into anything he wanted. Makoto grins and claims that it was probably all thanks to his daily training. Then he finally blurts out an apology, admitting he was careless and that he'd made her worry. And it could have gone terribly wrong, because he can't even control fire magic yet. Lucy shoots out a quick apology and admits, straight up, that it's all her fault. With a heavy heart, the elf confesses that her demon blood is probably the reason she's feeling this way. Confused, the MC blurts, "Wait, if I'm not an elf, what am I?" And Lucy steps in, saying, "My mom's an elf, but my dad is." Her father was a demon wrapped in roaring flames, and that's exactly why she was born with a blazing magical fire attribute. Because of this, she's got crazy resistance to fire and massive magic power, but she can't cast weak magic, and she can't reign in her own firestorms. He started catching fire the moment he tried to lock onto her perfectly. Lucy tries to tell them point blank that this whole team-up needs to stop. Team up, sure, but the MC fires back that if it happens again, they'll just pivot and try something else, while the girl stands there totally confused because Makoto still insists on forming a team with her. Lucy tries to explain, but because of her, he ended up getting hurt, and since then he's been utterly useless. And after all her training, she's still getting nowhere, so she's convinced Makoto is only letting her into the group because Lucas pressured him. Clutching the girl's hand. And right then the MC locks eyes with her and demands, "I need you." But suddenly the air turns electric, tense as hell, and weirdly romantic too. When he sizes up that whole mess like an RPG, it's straight up humiliating. Lucy's cheeks flare red as she admits she may have pushed it a little too far, and vows she'll do her best. The MC can even hear Noah's disapproval hitting him like a cold slap. In the days that followed, Makoto spent his time bandaging his wounds and letting the pain settle as he caught his breath. Meanwhile, Lucy kept sharpening her firepower until it became downright dangerous. Over dinner, the girl spilled the truth about her brand new power to handle spirits, because the young man's magic skills were basically non-existent. He plans to dive into beginner books later and start learning for real. Lucy flat out tells him he won't find a single book on spirit magic in that city. There are barely any people left who can even use this kind of magic. So Makoto's completely out of options now, like he has no clue what to do next. But the elf smirks because she's got an idea. The elf shoots him a sharp question, "Have you been sleeping at the guild this whole time?" The boy nods and admits it flat out. he doesn't have enough money for an inn. Lucy's nerves start to explode, but she forces herself to talk, saying her parents keep sending her money so she can stay at the city inns for a long while. Because the girl thinks the MC can't possibly perform without a proper place to rest, she grabs the chance and invites him in. Right when Lucy finally decides to send that invitation, Mary bursts in and demands to know if Makoto's hurt. The elf scrambles to get married, anything to finally escape. But the guild receptionist shoved a book packed with spirit-powered languages into the MC's hands. Makoto thanks her for the gift, and the blonde girl shrugs it off, saying it was all just something she picked up alone from the guild. The MC lights up over that tiny book and bursts out that he's finally safe, ready to study the language of spirits. Lucy is fuming because he doesn't care a single bit about what she's saying. And now he's in a foul mood, snapping at the boy like it's everyone's fault. Once Makoto's wounds finally closed up, he and the crew headed out to hunt, only for a terrifying new monster to blow their plans apart. So they sprinted for their lives and got absolutely drenched in mud while running. Lucy refused to march into the city looking like she hadn't seen a single clean day. Lucy watches as she dives into a nearby hot spring, and she can't shake the weird feeling that they've already beaten a griffin and now the little wolf is on the run. Yet the MC shrugs and admits he's never seen a monster like this before. The elf asks if the boy's coming to the bath too, and the boy shrugs that he'd rather hold off until they reach the city. A sudden noise rips her attention away, and the girl jolts in shock. And when they ask what it is, the boy drops a shaky answer, looks like an ogre. She snatches her staff in a desperate fight to help. Don't worry, Makoto takes care of the enemy in the blink of an eye. One time when the MC finally glances back, he spots Lucy tangled up in a total mess. In sheer panic, the girl loses control of her powers again and nearly blasts her partner into flames. Lucy can't believe it. One second he's mowing down an ogre like it's nothing, and the next he's bolting from a tiny wolf. The MC scrambles to defend himself just so he won't look weak, but to Lucy he's downright weird. Spirits, though, they're everywhere all the time, yet you can't see or hear a single one. That's the exact language the Titans used to talk to them back then. That book says you can spot all kinds of water spirits lurking near any water source. The spirits don't just talk through water, they can asterisk summon it on command too, whenever they feel like it. And the MC pops up, practically vibrating with excitement, ready to put everything he learned to the test. Lucy suddenly bursts onto the scene, seeing that the boy is literally walking on water. Now that Makoto's nearly fully healed, he can't help but think they're totally overhyping it. Spotting that the MC is reading the book Mary handed to him, the girl leans in and asks if he truly thinks he can pull off spiritual magic. The boy claims that after learning it back then, there's no way he could ever start from zero. And it doesn't help that even saying it is a nightmare. Those short spiritual phrases balloon into something huge fast. When the boy blurts out a quick line he found in the book, he ends up splashing rainwater all over both of them. The elf huffs and grumbles like nothing's ever good enough, saying that she's totally soaked right now. But the boy shrugs and says he can fix it, no sweat at all, and unleashes evaporation magic. Lucy laughs. She spits out that she's got stuff to handle, then orders the boy to take care of himself. As she storms out, he can't help wondering where the water that hit them in the first place even came from. It's a huge amount he could never produce by himself, yet the kid never turns the city's river into his weapon. So he starts wondering, did he really pull this off with the spirit's power, and is it really that easy? Then he decides he isn't done yet, pushes himself to train some more, and repeats that spiritual word again. Now Makoto's buzzing with excitement, because the spirits really can conjure water for him to control. Yeah, he pushed on even in spots where there wasn't a drop of water. Once you do that, mastering water magic becomes way more straightforward. He lit up with excitement, then it vanished just as fast. Lucas peeks at Makoto's paper and sees 99% water magic proficiency stamped on it, his highest score yet so far. Lucy's jaw drops as she realizes what she's witnessing is unreal, and she can't help but stare at her companion in awe. Even with that, the MC won't let himself breathe easy. It's still not enough. He can only stamp out tiny flames for now, even after learning spiritual magic. He's been grinding non-stop, evolving every slice of his power, yet somehow it's still nowhere near strong enough. Lucy's thriving, and Jean's teamed up with Emily on a new crew, so the days of them going on adventures together are officially over. Makoto's heart sinks, pessimism has him by the throat, so he backs off, murmurs that he's done for tonight, and heads straight to bed. Lucas tells Lucy not to give up yet, because Makoto's about to bounce back to normal real soon. After he wiped out those monsters, the young guy's lifespan jumped up a little. But now he's totally lost. He landed in this world, spent a whole year training, and still couldn't get any stronger. Still, he somehow carved out a life as an adventurer, trusting his skills like they were weapons. That's not even a real problem. But it's gnawing at the young man, refusing to let him breathe. The moment he falls asleep, he jolts awake right beside Noah. The goddess closes in on the young man and fires a question at him. Does he know what a god's job actually is? He paused for a moment, thinking hard. Makoto blurts out whether they're really there to collect donations, and the goddess shuts him down hard. No. Noah tells her she's meant to guide lost souls, and the boy stays swallowed in depression for a long stretch. She watches him pray every single day, never once begging for help, and the MC lanes in like, yeah, I thought that was his final resort. Noah needs her followers' trust because he's the only one she's got, yet the real goal of the MC is crystal clear: get stronger no matter what. Noah tells her she already handed him a blessing, yet she... And yeah, he's not limited to that, he's got plenty more tricks up his sleeve. Then she cranks the young man's water magic up to 103. He was drowning in sadness because his limit sat at 99%, so she nudged it higher just to light up his face. And once he hits level 105, he'll finally be able to see spirits. So for now, he'd better hold back on the language of spirit, use it sparingly. Because those creatures can't stand it when humans use it. Noah tells Makoto, if you want spirit magic, you've got to see the spirits up close, get to know them and talk to them. Then he adds, so don't be scared, those spirits actually like you, Makoto. For once, the MC is fired up because he might level up his skills, but Noah snaps, careful, or you'll bite off more than you can chew. She tweaked his soul book just a little, and now his power can break past 100%, but the church calls this kind of modification a crime. If the followers of the holy goddess ever get wind of this, he's in big trouble fast. And after what he did, they'd brand him a heretic on the spot. In the Sun and Water nations, teaming up with evil spirits is a one-way ticket. Cross that line, and you die for it. And the MC has to start watching every move, or he's going to get burned. Right before the young man walks out, Noah snaps, wait, I've got one last thing to tell you. He couldn't help but wonder, would those fuzzy instructions even show up? But the universe flipped the script. His goddess ordered him to head straight to a legendary, world-famous great labyrinth, and she made it painfully specific. The very next day, Makoto bursts out of his quarters and runs into Lucy. He swears he just met his goddess. Somebody pointed him toward the great labyrinth, and the elf's eyes lit up. She couldn't wait to unleash her skills and see if they'd survive. Makoto asks Lucy to ride with him, and he basically explains, you don't worship the same goddess I do, so you wouldn't be coming along. She doesn't need to stick right next to him, yet somehow the girl doesn't look even a little bit bothered. And man, he's looking a whole lot better now. And just like that, it puts a smile back on her face. The MC bows an apology for putting her through worry, but Lucy waves it off and promises she'll always stay right by his side. That's exactly what partners are for, right there when she needs them. The duo clenches their resolve and locks in hard to get ready for the next expedition. From a distance, his goddess watches every joyful moment, because she's convinced Makoto is about to become the greatest apostle anyone has ever seen. Far off in the distance, the MC's buddy, and can't stop worrying, so he throws his thoughts on Takatsuki's safety, praying he's really okay. At the guild, Mary's stomach drops when she hears they're planning to march straight into the labyrinth dungeon. He starts the engine and shoots them a question. Shouldn't they ditch this one and hunt for something simpler? Makoto tells everyone he's already picked the dungeon he's going to conquer. And Lucy says that's the leader's call. Mary admits she's scared for the young man and begs him to come back to the city safe and sound. Lucas shows up at the guild and tells everyone this is the perfect chance for Makoto to finally take a swing at a dungeon like that. The MC suddenly remembers his friend S been there before and he blurts, so, how is it over there? The adventurer breaks it down 5 levels, high, medium, low, deep, and even deeper, and he says he's stuck in the deep, but he's not convinced Makoto can survive it. Beyond the cheap little lies, the Dragon Society waits, darker, deeper, and way harder to escape. Up at the top, these monsters are way weaker, so you only need to fear one real threat, the Minotaur. Meanwhile, this medium-tier world is packed with monsters, goblins, orcs, zombies, skeletons, harpies, and a whole lot more. Surprise, these monsters aren't that strong, but they swarm in packs, and that's what makes them dangerous. Turns out these creatures regroup and pick a leader on the spot, someone to bark out orders and take charge. 1 second later, and any random adventurer would be devoured. And for most beginner adventurers, the labyrinth is basically a dream they chase, once they finally feel brave enough to step inside. But down in the shadows, there's a cold-blooded guy waiting to trick and rob those adventurers. His name is Rocky. Lucas ends it with a blunt warning: if you feel scared, spin around and turn back. Makoto knows his goddess doesn't usually drop vague hints like this, so when she does, he has no choice, he has to go. Adventurer Lucas keeps trying to spill what's haunting the labyrinth, and Lucy's fear starts creeping up fast. As the duo kicks off their adventure, the elf can't stop worrying: will they really make it out okay? And the MC fires back: we don't need excuses, we just gotta gear up smarter, grab more items, and be ready. The duo sprint straight to the shop run by the MC's friend. Right when they arrived, Nina and Fuji stepped up, grinning as they welcomed everyone. Fujian can't help but grin when he finally reunites with his friend after all that time. Lucy doesn't recognize a single one, confusion prickles her face, so they step in and introduce themselves one by one. When the elf hears the MC is buddies with the owner of that franchise, his world shifts. She gets terrified in a split second. Turns out Fujian isn't just any merchant, he's risen to the top, crushed the competition, and become the #1 guy you never want to pick a fight with. Makoto snaps to it, his buddy, using his skills like a weapon, carving out a real name for himself out there. Nina steps up to Lucy and drops the rumor that she's wickedly good at fire magic. The bunny girl brags that they crushed the griffin because of the girl's insane power. She gives Lucy credit, and Lucy snaps back that she never would have made it without Makoto. The boy admits that at the end of it all, he got burned from head to toe. Fujian declares that in this world, griffins aren't just beasts, they're packing insane firepower. Makoto grabs the moment and slips in that Jean helped them too. And Emily threw herself into the chaos to make sure the MC didn't die. The air turns icy and tension snaps tight like a drawn bow. France and Fujian look absolutely crushed. Then he rips into the MC with a loud, furious yell, demanding why he never invited him to his team. Nina whispers that Jean was on edge, stuck there, waiting and praying Makoto would finally invite them onto his team. The boy declares he's heading straight to the labyrinth now, and dares Fuji to come with him if he wants. His friend tells the MC, as long as you're on my team, I'm good to go. I'll adventure with you, handle the transport, and cover whatever else you need. Then he smirks and tells them, I'll pick you up tomorrow morning, and the two of them set off together. The very next day, he and Lucy rush to the exact meeting spot they'd agreed on. The elf blurts out that it's a terrible idea to ask for transportation from someone this important. Then Makoto isn't panicking at all. He's convinced his friend will haul them off in a carriage. But the moment he lets his guard down, everything hits at once. He spots Fujian rolling up with a military airship and can't believe it. They pile into the vehicle and hit the road, and then ripped off into the sky. Lucy clocks it instantly: the city is tiny. And suddenly it's getting bigger and things are heating up fast. Lucy is grinning like she can't believe what she's seeing as the view unfolds in front of her. Nina scrambles to take control, praying the elf won't lose her footing and go tumbling. Fujian leans toward the MC and asks, so how's the flight? And the boy grins, no noise, and it doesn't shake at all. The merchant leans in and tells you it's all because the vehicle is wrapped in protective magic. Turns out he got that ride so he could run his trade routes safe and sound. Lucy leans in and asks Fuji, what's that ship called? And he reveals he named the vehicle *, Cannon **, those white wings that sweep across the entire continent. The girls light up at the name, but Makoto grins, because it's ripped straight from a video game he used to love in that other world. Fujian tells everyone to soak it in because the ride won't last past tomorrow, and Nina grins, saying she'll lead them straight to their rooms. When they finally step into Lucy's room, she's straight up stunned. She can't believe how huge the place is. Then she shoots back so there's just one bed, and Nina fires off the truth. She said they figured it'd be one room per person. Then she tells them, if you want to stay in the same room, we can make it happen. But the duo immediately panics at the mere thought of it. Grab something to eat and make it a night to remember. Makoto is sprawled in his room, deep in sleep. He can't forget that night with his buddy Sasaki, cracking up while they played video games together. She'd run over to his place just to play with him, but the kid only had one lonely controller to share. He longs for those days like they're calling his name. Makoto jolts awake, completely lost, still stuck in the haze of a dream about Sasaki, and realizes the clock is still stuck in the night. As soon as he steps onto the deck, the night sky opens up. He can see the stars crystal clear. Fujian steps up and bluntly tells him, this is totally different from Japan. In that world, the moon and stars light up the night like a breathtaking show you can't look away from. The friends start whispering and trading rumors about those wild moon legends. The moon's people suddenly turn to each other, and the demons tear their own ranks apart with a savage betrayal. They're buzzing with rumors about the Moon Princess. The USS was just wiped off the map, overthrown by the Sun Knights in a blazing strike. Rumors are flying everywhere, and one keeps getting repeated. The demon lord is about to come back from the dead. Fujian says he heard there's a terrifying monster lurking in the labyrinth, and Makoto fires back that if they keep to the upper levels, they'll be totally fine. The Four Eyes spots Makoto looking way too well put together, then blurts out, "When did you start getting so damn scared?" Fujian says that the Griffin story freaked him out, and the MC shoots back that in that moment, he really didn't have a choice. The boy says, "I really hope Sasaki is doing okay, wherever he shows up next." Weird, Makoto remembers his friend can read minds, so there's no way to hide a single thing. "Sasaki and I are about to kick off an adventure. Tell me you don't want to come along." They're not that lucky, because the reality they're stuck in won't let that happen. And Nina sprints in to wake Makoto up, because they've already made it there. Labyrinth City might be small, but it welcomes you with open arms. Because so many adventurers keep charging into that place, they had to get their act together and stay properly prepared. Lucy peers at their city big, sure, but then realizes it's packed with far fewer adventurers, so Makoto presses, "Let's hit the guild first." Next thing you know, when they step in, the place is jammed wall to wall with people. And just like that, the MC leaves grinning, relieved he finally managed to get registered. Fujian slips away, promising he'll scout out a commercial spot, and Nina immediately tags along as his bodyguard. The boy has to hunt down somewhere to stay for now, and by late afternoon, they're meeting up at a tavern. While Makoto frets about where to sleep, the elf can't wait a second and drags him straight into shopping. He gives in because she's a girl, but the moment it happens, guilt crashes into him. The boy knows next to nothing about clothes, so he ends up helplessly stuck as he can't even help her pick what to buy. In the end, Lucy was way more pumped than he ever expected, and honestly, that was the best possible sign. They spot a packed crowd, and Makoto pushes through to figure out what's going on. The Sun Continent's troops are finally barreling in. A kid hops off the carriage and boom, people call him the hero of light, even though he's really just a normal classmate who reincarnated alongside the main character. Even Makoto can't deny it, Sakurai is incredible, and you can see him grinding as the hero of light. And the MC can't stop wondering, am I jealous or what? Us ponder it, could this be the exact meeting the goddess Noah warned him about? Spinning out of that chaos, he calls Lucy to find a place to sleep for the night. The boy's nerves shot through him like lightning. Then right beside Sakurai, Princess Sophia stepped into view. After roaming the city, Lucy finally let out a breath of relief when they spotted a safe place to spend the night. And she's buzzing about the local event. Lucy spots one of the princesses she worships beside the hero of light. Makoto tuned out completely because the water princess had his attention, and now he can't stop wondering why two princesses would end up in the same place. Anyway, none of that is for them to care about. Now the duo needs to link up with their group. Nina and Fujian are already posted up at the bar, waiting for him. Those four eyes light up with pure joy because he finally settles the commercial mess there. He heard Sakurai was in town, and Nina blurts that he's there to take down a dragon. Then he's stunned when her own companions know the hero by name. Makoto's fed up, he glares at everyone and demands to know why they're obsessed with him. And right away, the girls clock that jealousy is crawling all over that boy. Fujian lays it out clearly. If you've got hero abilities, the government backs you, and you're granted powers that are as specific as your own. Lucy points out how insanely rare it is for anyone to show up in that world with the hero ability. And that's why they get treated like royalty. For ages, the only soul with that power, right on par with the hero of light, was the legendary Abel, but after hundreds of years, someone else like him finally showed up. Now Makoto finally clicks, and he realizes exactly why his colleague's arrival turned heads everywhere. Fujian admits that at first, everything was different. And right then, the princesses huddled in a heated debate, fighting to be the one who'd protect him the moment that hero finally showed up. By the way, Sakurai is Princess Noelle's husband, and now the whispers are going wild, claiming he's getting tangled up with Princess Sophia too. Now Makoto finally clicks. He understands why there are two princesses sitting in that place. His friend jumps in and insists the truth is way uglier than it looks for that kid. Word on the street says Princess Noelle is the final survivor of her bloodline, so that boy is the only heir left standing. And yeah, there are rumors that the call to fight the abominable dragon didn't come out of nowhere. It was sparked by an anti-light faction. The crew keeps drinking there for a while, then, just when it seems like everything's settled, when a stranger suddenly shows up and begs to be let in with their crew. Sakurai's out here, desperately trying to break the ice and actually socialize. And Lucy barely holds herself back, because her feelings threaten to spark a full-on emotional meltdown. Fujian demanded how the kid ever knew they'd be there, and Sakurai smirked, saying every adventurer's always right around. And the hero admits it, he knows Fujian's playing merchant, selling and dealing with the troops behind the scenes. Still, Katatsuki's sheer presence hit him hard and left him genuinely impressed. The MC blurts that the hero is coming to smash the abominable dragon, and Isakurai shoots back, "I'm just a rookie knight, I've got to grind twice as hard." The boy blurts out that he made it to that city that day, and now there's nothing left to do but face it head-on. Sakurai asks Takatsuki to lead him through the maze. Lucy practically bursts with excitement to say yes, but the MC cuts in fast, he's sure it won't help much. He pushes himself up from the table and blurts that he's got to run, then admits he heard the monsters around here are getting way more active, so you'd better stay on guard. Once the boy bolts off faster than he showed up, Makoto stands there staring, thinking, so, what was he even doing here? Nina's jaw drops in total shock, and Lucy can't believe they're practically standing next to the hero of light, until Fujian snaps, telling her, no, we're not as close as you think. Back at school, Sakurai didn't even give those two the time of day. Lucy snaps in frustration that the MC turned down the hero's invite, but Makoto coolly fires back that the mission is brutal, and the boy was probably only joking. Fujian points out that Sakurai's way too serious, and it leaves Makoto completely baffled about why he even invited him in the first place. A massive crew of adventurers storms into the maze to rip through their missions. Fujian hauled out the map for them, and since they've already dug through the upper parts, they've got a pretty clear picture of exactly what's waiting for them. Makoto pitches it like a plan, let's hit the water cave. The merchant leans in and tells him the water cave's walls are paper-thin, with streams of water pounding through them. It's a nightmare for Lucy, because this place just doesn't treat her right. They swear the top floors of that dungeon stay eerily calm, despite the Minotaur lurking down there. Fujian says he's heard rumors of dragons showing up on the upper floors, so everyone better watch their step and stay extra careful. After a while of pushing deeper through the dungeon corridors, Nina has already mowed down a whole lineup of enemies. Makoto's trapped in panic, because all he can do is charge the enemies Nina left in his path. But his friend cuts in and insists, chill out, take it slow for once. Nina sets her sights on a secret spot deep in the maze, the one place with an unbeatable view of everything below. Because it's such a hot spot, you'll even spot ads everywhere for guided space tour. The bunny girl leans in and swears this place is a hot favorite for adventurers and couples alike. Lucy's eyes light up and she blurts out, we have to go there right now. When the crew finally reaches the colossal waterfall, they stop dead, because this place is even more jaw-dropping than they imagined. Suddenly the MC's danger sense screams at him, like trouble just lit up in his head. His head starts pounding like crazy, and that's when he realizes this danger is way worse than he ever imagined. At last, a colossal dragon crashes into view right in front of them. Makoto can't believe his eyes when he spots the dragon for the first time, and he's absolutely blown away by how incredible it is. Lucy snaps, we've got to run now. But the moment she steps forward, the ground gives out, and she crashes down. The MC lunges in front of the girl and throws his own body across hers to shield her from harm. But the two of them slip straight into a dripping, wet mess. Makoto can't help but wonder, could this be the dungeon's intermediate floor? Lucy can't believe it, why should she get stuck fighting a dragon on the top floors? Still, she's convinced the boy can climb them with his water magic, but Makoto shoots that down fast, insisting it doesn't work like that. But now they're trapped, so they have to scramble and find a way back, no matter what it costs. The MC says, I've got geolocation, I can track the safe route and dodge every monster on the way. They keep marching for what feels like forever, staying on their toes, trying to dodge every enemy they might run into. Eventually, they finally called a stop and caught their breath. That elf girl is already worn out and sick of everything happening. But Makoto stays icy calm, completely unbothered. The MC thinks we'll climb back to the top together, and Lucy flashes a hopeful grin, asterisk, I really hope so. Suddenly someone blurts out, so, are you really adventurers? A tiny girl messed up from head to toe, stumbles into view, eyes wide, and blurts that she desperately needs their help. The elf's stomach drops as she worries about the stranger, then she closes in and demands to know where the girl went missing from her group. Before things get even worse, Makoto yanks her arm and blurts out for her to stay back, don't come any closer. Just recently, another danger alert blared, and it wasn't there to warn him, it was there to threaten him. Then bam, the kid twists into a nightmarish monster out of nowhere. Makoto snaps at Lucy and orders her to get her magic ready. Meanwhile, the half-human demonized spider snaps at the boy to quit fighting and swallow his fate. One way or another, he's getting devoured. He hurls an icy pebble straight into the girl's eye, and instantly, she's blinded. For the MC, this is where Noah's magic finally pays off, because the power to talk to spirits turns into something he can use right now. From the outside, he spots water spirits swirling through the air, flying around like living waves. And if Makoto wants to wow the spirits, he's got to treat them with respect. Tucking into the weird tongue of those entities, he leans in and asks the spirits if they're ready to cut loose and have some fun. Makoto senses those beings instantly, and realizes they're not just watching, they're drawn in. Then he slams a water prison shut on the enemy, trapping them in a watery nightmare. Lucy's already locked in and ready to unleash the attack, and she snaps her arm forward and blasts a roaring fireball straight into the creature. But in the end, she loses control and fires at the wrong spot. The ball slams down in front of the little girl. Lucy freaks out as her magic companion's move goes off like an explosion. And Makoto lays it out, this whole thing worked because the spirits helped him. Now that they've learned monsters can wear human faces, they have to stay razor sharp and way more careful. Lucy locks eyes with the boy the moment she spots something weird going down, and he whips his head around. And then he realizes they're completely boxed in by hungry spider women, just waiting to pounce. He calls on the spirits again, whips up a roaring water dragon, and then dives into its raging waves to hide with Lucy, like the sea itself swallowed them whole. The longer it drags on, the worse it feels. The more monsters crowded that place, the worse it got. Now Makoto spots the enemy even while he's submerged underwater. And then he has to twist out of the ocean serpent's deadly strike. Harpies loom overhead, and Lucy realizes there's no way out. Then the monsters crowding the place suddenly turn on each other and start tearing in. But the truth is, none of this is getting better. The harpy barrels forward toward the two. But Makoto darts in and lands a hit on her with his dagger, and somehow, amid the nightmare, he stays stone calm, reading her every move before she even commits. Once Noah fires back at the MC, asking if he's alright, and the boy admits things are getting brutal and asks the goddess for answers, because if Makoto can't break free on his own, she'll need to help, but he still swears he won't abandon Lucy. The system lanes in and dares the boy. Does he really want to try escaping on his own? He tells everyone he'll dodge the attacks for sure, then turns to Lucy and demands she get ready, because they're about to carve out the one opening they need. Then another harpy comes roaring in, diving straight at the duo. Makoto lunges in and, using the dagger, somehow rips her wing clean off. 50+ monsters swarm around them like a living nightmare, closing in from every side. Most of them are either pretty harmless or they pose only low risk. But one of them is so dangerous it makes everything else look harmless. There's a serpent twisted with a human soul just sitting there. Makoto is terrified she'll rush right at them, while those danger alerts keep screaming over and over, like the creature is closing in. Magic is lethal, Lucy's running on fumes, and he has no choice but to face it head-on. With his expanded vision, he can see the whole battlefield at once, and he keeps every last detail locked in his focus. So he straight up turns his back on her. In the blink of an eye, the creature swoops at him and shoots straight through the air toward him. But she's way faster than that boy ever dared to imagine. And he even slips out of the way, dodging his ice attack at the last second to throw him off and blind him. Everything's gone off the rails, and they're getting crushed in the fight. At least the MC is still determined to protect Lucy. The moment he stares at the monster up close, his shock flips. She's actually kinda cute, like he's seen her before. The killer serpent finally stops lunging at him. He clocks him instantly because that's exactly his face. Sasaki barrels in and hugs Takatsuki tight, like he can't let go. And Lucy is freaking out, absolutely desperate to fix everything. The elf roars at Makoto that she'll burn that monster for good, and the MC panics. Don't, if you do, I'll die too. Makoto scrambles to explain that Sasaki is his classmate from that other world too, but Lucy refuses to believe it. She's sure Sasaki is nothing but a monster. With everything going down, they've got to cool off and finally talk it out, but first, the mission is simple: get out of there. The MC corners Sasaki and demands he guide them to a place so safe that not a single monster can reach them. The boy's friend jabs a finger at the waterfall, and Makoto tells Lucy to smash the monsters on the road, while he hauls them there after escaping. They've slipped into a silent place where even the air feels still. Lucy can't believe it. Sasaki is still clinging to Makoto like he won't let go. The boy asks, "Are you really Sasaki?" And the creature shoots back, "Why are you doubting her?" He clenches it in one breath because she feels like a monster, not a girl. Sasaki snaps to attention, realizes she's trapped inside a weird snake body, and then, faster than the shock can fade, she rips herself back into her human form. When she finally reaches this form, she's got on those stunning invisible clothes, and somehow they make her look even more unreal. But Makoto and Lucy yank off their jackets and throw them right onto her shoulders. Yeah, the elf still can't shake the worry that Sasaki might be the enemy, even after she's pointed them to an escape route. And after all that waiting, Makoto finally steps up and introduces the two. Lucy seethes with jealousy because Sasaki keeps getting too close to him. He and the little girl lean in and ask straight up if the elf is the boy's girlfriend. And now the girls are spiraling into a full-blown romantic crisis. Makoto fires off, "What happened to you?" because he can't believe she's stuck here in that form. Firm, Sasaki snaps that she jolted awake in a pitch-black place, and that's when the truth hit her. She'd realized where she was. In no time, she was being born as a deadly snake monster. She didn't just meet them, she welcomed a whole batch of sisters into her life. She slowly stopped flinching as snakes became just another part of her everyday life. But every time he tried to breathe easy, food stayed brutal on his back. One day, she caught her companions hauling a human in like a prize, ready to be torn apart and devoured. She dreamed of living with humans, but deep down she knew that once she took that shape, nobody would ever truly welcome her. The girl's awesome mom leaned in and asked, "Is something going on?" And she nodded, saying she just wanted to slip out for a bit. Then the woman's eyes narrowed, and she decided it was finally time to hunt for her own food. So she told them, "Tomorrow's the day, your very first day out of here, all of you." Before he burst out of the nest, she couldn't help but wonder what life outside even looked like, and Sasaki. He was blown away when he discovered there was a waterfall underground. Her great mother warned her to stay sharp, because the monsters lurking underwater might come for them. One day the girl snapped her gaze upward, like she sensed something huge. She lifted herself up, and thanks to a crater, the sky opened in front of her while the sun's warmth hit her skin. Out of nowhere, a harpy tore into her like a nightmare. Her mother screamed for everyone to run, because for Sasaki, it was already way past too late. Sasaki battled a ferocious harpy, fighting tooth and nail to keep her alive. And they both crashed into the water. A monstrous beast swallowed the creature right next to her in one brutal gulp. And the girl had to break free before it was too late. Everyone's jaw dropped when the girl came back to the nest alive, and the very next day, they geared up to hunt again. The very next day, they discovered the shocking truth behind the physical transformation, how it turned them into human bodies. When the transformation finally erupted, they need to throw on human clothes, study the human language, and then hunt. Sasaki wondered if this could finally let her live in a human city, even with that ticking time limit, if she trained hard enough. Her sisters started to notice something was off. Why was she pouring so much time into this skill? With her sisters in tow, she burst into the woods to hunt and hunt. And her mother beamed with pride at her. Ever since that girl was born, not a single one of her daughters ever got attacked. At first, Sasaki froze in fear. His mind screamed, "Snake." And then she realized how lucky she was to be born into a family that loved her with their whole hearts. So she locked in, gave it everything for her family. Makoto can't believe what he just heard, and then Sasaki leans in and spills what happened next. A heartbreaking tragedy ripped through her life and shattered everything. While Makoto was locked in his fight, Noah's goddess heart sank into despair as she fought to survive in the spiritual world. She's fuming because that young man never gives her the attention she's begging for. But since the goddess trusts Makoto, she's sure it'll all turn out okay. Noah demands that he give everything he's got, because if he doesn't, he won't live to see tomorrow. Lucy demands to know where Sasaki's snake family has vanished to right in that moment. One day, she tells him she was out doing her hunter duties, and she seized the moment to practice living as a human. But then something horrifying struck, and the whole world flipped upside down. And once she finally made it back home, a few of her sisters were left frozen solid. That icy blast shredded their defenses, because snakes can't handle the cold at all. If Sasaki hadn't powered through her chores that day, she would have found a way to save her sisters. Rage surged through her as she fumed at her older sister. And then it all exploded into a brutal fight between the two. In that exact moment, she snapped another rule. She refused to listen to the elders again. That one event snapped her focus away from her older sisters, and suddenly everything got way harder. The crew that kept close to her took way less damage, and thanks to their skills, they pulled off better hunts. She truly believed she was making the right move. Meanwhile, the other group trained up the younger ones, strong enough to hunt on their own. Sasaki's mind raced as she pictured the day she'd finally step away to live with humans, and the crushing fear of how her friends would get by without her. When she finally caught her breath and thought it through, it hit her. Maybe her older sister was right. The older ones are supposed to teach the younger ones how to stand on their own. She didn't want to crush her sister, so she had to step in and fix this before things got worse. She marched over to her older sister and started talking. Sasaki leaned in and told her it was urgent, but she cut him off. Let's hunt first. Then they nodded and agreed tonight they'd finally talk. But after that brutal hunt, she was so wiped out that she just dropped off to sleep. And when she finally opened her eyes, the world had already changed. The harpies wiped out every last snake, then reveled in the chaos like they owned the moment. The harpy queen swooped in and mocked Sasaki like, "How are you still alive?" That awful woman sat astride Sasaki's mother, and with a cold grin, declared that after hundreds of years of fighting, she'd finally brought her to the end. Cackling like a nightmare, the monster barked at Sasaki to lock in, because this was it, the final moments of her mother. Right in front of her, she swallowed the mother of the snake's heart whole. Sasaki's hope started to crumble, and she pleaded with her older sister for help before everything slipped away. But the queen of the harpies snapped that it was her older sister who had carried it to her. Her sister would never, ever betray them. The harpy grabbed Sasaki's attention and demanded he track down where her older sister had gone. Tucked in the harpy's deadly claws was the girl's head. To the goddess, the harpy hissed that anyone who betrays her sisters will be punished. No mercy, no excuses. After that brutal conversation, she snapped that it was time to leave. Right then, no questions. As Harpy seized control of a human mage's mind, they pushed him to do it, and now they're poised to wipe everything out. Sasaki thought she was a monster with power to spare, then human magic hit, and she couldn't even lift a finger. In that moment, she should have been gone too, left to freeze the same way she did in her past life. But she's still alive, and she can't even figure out why. As soon as she clocked it, the harpies were already gone, so now she's determined to get strong enough to strike back for revenge. That's when she decided to play it rough. She started hunting down every monster that crossed her path on the road. She kept hunting with zero mercy and no sign of slowing down. That's when she stumbled on a human who looked exactly like Takatsuki. Lucy is hit hard by the whole story, and she tells them, "We've got this, we'll help Sasaki take on her enemies." When Makoto finally landed in that world, he swore he'd gotten the worst reincarnation luck on Earth, until he realized Sasaki had it way, way worse. Compared to Sasaki, his whole life feels like a snooze fest with zero action. And he leans in, asking what his childhood friend would want to do. Sasaki snaps that she's done letting her family's killers get away. She wants revenge, and she'll burn for it. The MC instantly recalls this as just how she's always been. Once she drives an ID into her head, it's stuck there for good. Lucy promises she'll jump in too, and Makoto snaps back that he'd never leave him behind. Sasaki's behind them because these two are real friends. Now that they've sealed the deal, the MC snaps that they've got to hustle out. Fujian's probably freaking out, and the guild might even know where the harpies are. While the girls are buzzing with excitement to finally leave. If Makoto actually remembers to thank his goddess Noah for the help. And then boom, the reunion with his friend. Noah leans in and tells Makoto to stay sharp and tread carefully around there. Sasaki led the way to the upper floors of the dungeon, and somehow not a single monster showed up to block their path. When it all finally hit them, they said they'd come right back to the high ground where the waterfall roared, and nothing stopped them. Fujian's heart sinks because he's run out of time and left his friends behind. Nina rushes in to comfort him, swearing that everything will be okay for both of them. Suddenly, Makoto shows up at his friend's door, right there with Sasaki and Lucy in tow. When my friend from another world suddenly shows up, it hits me like a lightning strike. And the MC basically tells everyone to step inside so they can lay out the whole story for real. And in the end, Sasaki lays out her heartbreaking tale to the other two, spilling everything in a voice that won't let them look away. Makoto blurted, "We've got to get answers about the harpy now." But Fujian steps in, tells them to catch their breath, and says, "Leave the rest to me." Nina vows to rush back and tell the guild exactly how they're coming home. After a bit, Fujian bursts back and tells everyone he hit the guild, then came back with news there was a wanted poster. The Harpy Queen and her daughters are being hunted hard, and there's a massive reward on their heads. Nina lanes in and warns them. This enemy is way more brutal than the griffin they just took down. Good news, harpies hate fire magic, and Lucy can turn that weakness into a real edge. Sasaki lights up with excitement, ready to jump in and help in every way she can. Makoto demands they cool off for a second, because the first thing they have to do is track down where she is. Fuji tells them the guild has zero clues on where the harpy went, so they'll have to hustle and track her down themselves. The MC makes the call. He's teaming up with Sasaki and heading straight into the labyrinth. And the other two go hunting for clues around the city, but Lucy shuts the whole plan down. She hates the idea. Nina tries to warn Lucy off the labyrinth, saying a dragon could burst out any second, but Lucy's not the only one on edge because Nina is also worried about Makoto. The boy leans in, trying to calm her down, insisting he can slip out anytime, and that he's got more than enough water stashed inside the labyrinth. Meanwhile, Sasaki is the key piece in all of it. She guides everyone through the labyrinth, because she knows every twist and turn like it's burned into her memory. Jealous sparks blaze in her eyes, and the elf tells Makoto, "Tonight, let's train together," and he nods right away, thrilled that her magic can power them up. And he's betting everything on her. Today, Makoto and Sasaki drop into the labyrinth's middle level, hunting for the harpy's nest that should be lurking nearby. Watching his friend, eyes locked on him, Sasaki can't help but feel absolutely pumped about the whole situation. The boy rushes in with an apology, saying he should have taken it more seriously, but Sasaki just looks crushed. Being alone in there is miserable to him, and he much prefers to work with a group. She steps in with a grin and says it's one of her all-time favorite places. That's where she hunted with her sisters, and honestly, it feels good to look back on that. Makoto shoots her a heartfelt apology, begging her to forgive the fact that he just yanked a painfully buried memory back to the surface. But the girl insists it's totally different now, because she's finally back with him. The MC breaks into a grin and admits he's genuinely thrilled to finally reunite with his friend. The whole air turns syrupy and dangerously romantic. And just like that, the boy storms off, swearing he's going to track down some spirits and talk to them. He can still feel Lucy's jealousy burning, and he knows he better not try anything weird with her. Makoto fires off his search magic, and then out of nowhere it just cuts out and refuses to work. Probably because those harpies were closing in. When they crane their heads forward, a pack of harpies swoops in, and the duo scrambles to hide before they get spotted. Seeing them, Sasaki couldn't hold back. Agitation surged through him. Makoto tells her to breathe, relax, because they've got to handle everything with total care. The harpies swoop in like a storm, stealing the spotlight the second they arrive. And that sparks in his mind. She has to be close, the queen's right nearby. After a tense stretch, the harpies finally fly off, and they burst out of hiding. Makoto tells them, all right, time to head back, train a little more, because if they drag this out too long, Lucy and the crew are gonna start freaking out fast. Sasaki lanes into the MC and demands, "So what kind of person does Lucy mean to you?" The boy blurts out that she's been his partner for the past 6 months. Sasaki starts panicking, convinced he's built a real bond with that girl, until the boy snaps back that most of their missions had him surrounded by other people the whole time. Makoto tells them he spent almost all his time roaming the world solo, hunting adventure by himself. And she's a total goblin slayer, the kind of professional who hunts them for real. Sasaki bursts into laughter and tells her friend, "You haven't changed one bit." Then the boy grins and says, "Now I'm on a team of 3 with Sasaki." The boy blurts out, "Is Sasaki really okay with this?" And the girl grins, "Yeah, this is awesome." Still, he never once sat down with Lucy to explain any of it. And has to ask, is it okay? And Sasaki clocks it instantly. Takatsuki has never once spoken to another girl. But he looks like he's right there next to Lucy. The elf flashes her brand new powers, tearing into the battlefield with earth magic. She swore that mixing earth magic with fire magic would be the ultimate combo, something that could tear the harpies apart. They just learned the hero of light is headed into the labyrinth dungeon to punch the dragon down, and once that's over, the monsters inside should finally chill out. Lucy leans in and asks how Sasaki's exploration went, and Makoto grins. "We tracked it down, we found the nest." The elf snaps the moment and fires off a question, "How's the boy's friend holding up?" And he tells her she's finally calmed down a little. When they ran into the harpies, she absolutely lost it. Lucy is fired up to wipe out those harpies, and Makoto hammers home that they need a real plan. So Sasaki jolts in shock when he realizes they're not headed into the dungeon after all, and the MC scrambles to explain to his friend why it's still too unsafe to go. The girl blurts out that she's heading there ASAP. And Makoto pushes the truth: these monsters are insanely dangerous, and they have no idea what's coming for them. So they'd better be ready, because this moment is coming fast. A crushing, terrible silence drops over the whole room, trying to smash that awful tension in the air. Lucy sweeps Sasaki into a city stroll that very day. Fujian nods along, and Nina pushes the idea hard, because this is the first time she's ever getting to truly meet the human world. Makoto begs Sasaki to hang on just a little longer, because when the moment finally hits, they'll be ready. That mess has the girl second-guessing herself non-stop. But she gets it if it means stopping the people who hurt her in the first place. Lucy finally manages to drag Sasaki out for a stroll through the city after the elf proves, again and again, that she'll do whatever it takes to meet her needs. The girl can't help but wonder, am I really crowding everyone here? Spotting the girl's exhaustion creeping in, Lucy insists they drop to a seat and catch their breath for a moment. Sasaki takes one look around and thinks, this city's wild in the best way, because everyone's smiling like monsters are no big deal, and somehow it feels calm and safe anyway. Lucy admits we barely know each other, and trust still hasn't had time to grow, but Makoto and I have been together way longer than that. Even though the MC is weak and laughs it off, he's never stopped pushing himself, working his butt off to fix problems, and he's saved Lucy's life again and again. The guards should back off and let the boy handle it, then they can finally rest. Sasaki nods and admits Lucy's right. Even when Makoto fired up video games, he didn't mess around. He prepped like crazy before he ever faced an enemy. Somehow he pulls the exact same move in this world too. Lucy jumps at the chance to tell Sasaki he doesn't have to act all formal with her, because they're friends, plain and simple. The girls are buzzing about the fact that Makoto is trapped in this world. Later, they track down the boy and lock in for a strategy meeting. Fujian blurts out big news, and you can tell it's gonna be something good. Sakurai and his crew pulled it off. They crushed the dragon and brought it down for good. But this mess isn't that simple, trust me. They just crushed one dragon, but trust me, there are at least 2 more lurking in that dungeon, waiting to wreck their day. So yeah, those labyrinth monsters don't sleep. They stay up and keep hunting. Sasaki can't stop wondering when they're finally going to strike and invade the harpy's nest. Makoto shoots a thought into his own head. This place won't be safe until the dragons are wiped out, but he has no clue when that day even comes, so maybe they should go straight to Sakurai and beg for help. But this kid's bursting with pride. He's determined to be the one who helps Sasaki, because he refused to hurt her or put her in any kind of danger. The boy lines in and asks Lucy if she's ready to unleash her power the way she's been training. Lucy shakes her head and tells him it'll take 3 more days. Then the MC fires off a grin and announces, we'll hunt the harpies in 4 days. And I'll make sure his magic with the spirits is fully set and ready to go. They just have to sit tight and watch Lucy lock in her magic combo. Once she finishes mastering it, everything changes. They busted their butts over the next few days, training hard and gearing up for the big battle that was about to hit. Lucy finally nailed her combo, and the next day, the whole crew blasted off on this adventure. But Makoto's nerves are getting the best of him, and the whole situation feels like it could go sideways any second. When he finally shuts his eyes that night, he runs into Noah, and there he is, casual clothes, no armor, just pure surprise. Makoto can't help but think, that's exactly what Noah looks like dressed like that. And honestly, she doesn't look like a goddess anymore. But she can hear every one of his thoughts, and it freaks her out. The MC pauses mid-chaos to thank his goddess, because thanks to her, he's finally able to reunite with Sasaki. Noah drops the truth: she's got extraordinary power and a secret she's been hiding. But that's a secret the MC will uncover later, and when it hits, it's going to blow everything wide open. Now the goddess is fixated on one thing, watching his crew level up fast, with Lucy evolving right along with them. But Makoto can't stand it. He's still stuck being weak. Noah seethes because why is he stressing over his status when he's got spirit magic, and he can still become great? She jumps at the chance to tell the MC he needs to show a lot more warmth to the hero of light. And Makoto wonders if he can really talk to Sakurai while he's still bound to the other gods. With a bright smile, the girl promises, you'll be useful later, like she's calling his next big moment. Her advice to Makoto was clear: stop tearing the boy down and start being warm and friendly with him. Every single person around him is terrifyingly strong, but he can't shake the feeling he needs more powers. Noah lunges in and tries to calm him down, telling him to stop squeezing himself so hard. So he just lets it happen because the answers are going to show up on their own. She's convinced he can finally be himself, and she treats him like her top follower, so he should stop measuring his worth against everyone else. Even a goddess is shocked by how fearless Makoto really is, and turn every crushing failure into a comeback success. The two lock eyes for a final second, then say goodbye. And the MC finally feels a flicker of hope light up inside him. Right before they leave, the MC locks in the plan. The elf will crack open a hole into the dungeon and rain stones on the harpies. Nina and Sasaki are going to pull their attention away, just long enough to create the opening. And he'll cap it all off by taking Lucy down. Fujian braces for fresh supplies, ready to take on the queen of the harpies head-on. At night, they charge into the labyrinth, and it's brutally terrifying. Nina tells everyone harpies count as birds, and at night their vision turns to garbage. Sasaki locked in with deadly focus, hunting down every harpy she could get her hands on. Makoto strides up to her and says he knows she's on edge, so take a breath and loosen up a little. The whole crew gears up and charges forward, ready to unleash the plan for real. Then Makoto taps into his geolocation power and pinpoints exactly where they're headed, even in the dark. For the MC, come on, take the stage. Gear up for a boss fight feels awesome and cranks the tension through the roof. Lucy squints through the thick fog, barely able to see, and Makoto grins like a conspiracy. He says he begged the spirits to fog the place up just to help him out. The duo looks back at the days when it was just the two of them, and Makoto points out, now there's three right here with us. The MC pounces on the moment and quizzes Lucy about what she and Sasaki talked about when they hit the city together. The elf says Sasaki lit up over human food, because in the serpent world, there's nothing even close to treats like that. Then the conversation shifted to the MC, his past looks in his old world, and Makoto prayed Sasaki wouldn't start saying weird stuff to that girl. Then Lucy spilled everything to Sasaki about Makoto in that world, and the boy couldn't help but wonder why they kept talking about him nonstop. The elf tells him Sasaki wanted answers, and she admits she's hungry to dig into the boy's past, too. After they trekked deeper into the forest, harpies swooped in, guarding the nest like they owned it. The MC snaps into crystal-clear focus, turning his mind on like a spotlight so he can think straight. So he wouldn't start freaking out in that moment. And he has to throw up a distraction and pull the enemies off his trail. He snaps a branch off with a crack, and the harpies whip their heads toward the sound, then slip into distraction. The boy targets the harpies' neck and heart, aiming to wipe them out with two brutal strikes. He bends the blood like it's water, using his power to keep it from spreading, so he won't get a single drop on him. Makoto charges in and wipes out every guard harpy in sight. The MC calls Lucien and tells him, relax, there's still tons of time before the other guards show up, so we're gonna be fine. The elf strides in with unshakable focus, determined to burn through as much magic as she possibly can. She hoists several rocks up high and engulfs them in roaring flames. Then she hurls a storm of meteors down onto the ground. Down in the crowd, Nina and Sasaki are waiting, holding their breath and staring forward. Then watch the harpies get struck down and tumble out of the air. The attack from above landed perfectly, and now, boom, it's their turn to strike back. Nina and Sasaki waste no time and slam into the harpy, throwing down in a full-out fight, tossing them straight into the ocean serpent's jaws to be devoured. She's doing it all for her family, and she's not letting a single one get away. Even now, the queen still hasn't shown up. Makoto and Lucy crash land below, and Sasaki lanes in, demanding to know if either of them spotted the harpy queen. The elf's eyes light up, she can't believe it, thinking she might have just wiped her out with that surprise strike. Right as the MC slips back in, his danger detection clicks on like a warning siren in his bones. So he barks at them to look up. The harpy queen is standing right in front of us, no hiding, no mercy, staring them down with a cruel, merciless glare. Makoto couldn't believe it. Lucy unleashed her might, and that creature still didn't get struck. Turns out the harpy queen rocks an incredible shield. Then she doesn't hesitate to throw her own offspring in front of her, using their bodies to block every blow. Sasaki roars at the harpy, screaming that she slaughtered her kids and left her only one cursed survivor. The harpy queen clocks Sasaki as the serpent's lone survivor and vows she'll have to hunt her down and kill her again. She doesn't flinch at losing her daughters. None of it matters as long as the harpy queen lives, because more will follow. Pigtail's girl glares at the chaos and admits it's frustrating, then snaps that if they don't take down that woman, they'll never wipe out the harpies. Makoto snaps his dagger up at the harpy and threatens that if they wipe her out, they'll exterminate her entire species. Mocking laughter hangs in the air as the queen grills the boy, demanding to know if he truly believes he's capable of pulling it off. And then she starts to unleash her voice. Nina shrieks that the harpy's song is pure magic, and if any guy hears it, she'll twist his mind until he's fully under her control. But now it's already too late, and the queen orders the boy to press the dagger right to his own throat. And Makoto follows through. She lets out a smug little chuckle and says she hit the jackpot having a guy in that group. That serpent group attacker wasn't just doing it out of hate, he was probably being yanked around like everyone else. And now Sasaki's completely stuck, with no idea what he's supposed to do next. The harpy leaned in on Makoto, dared him to get closer, and warned that if any girl even tried to attack her, he'd have to slit his own throat. Nina and Lucy can't stop worrying, because things are starting to feel really bad. Sasaki clocks it, Takatsuki is trapped there as a hostage, so she has no moves, and then something totally bizarre snaps into place. Technically, the MC may be off his rocker, but he still prayed straight to her, and you could feel the determination blazing in him. Maybe this means Makoto isn't being played at all. So she's just pretending, then she should stop stalling and grab the opening the moment it shows up. The Harpy Queen tells Sasaki she's truly sorry, because letting a human man face her is the biggest mistake of all. The moment that manipulated man lays eyes on her, she's got him convinced she's a goddess. People drop to their knees on the spot. The Harpy starts taunting the MC, bragging that Makoto could even lick her foot. And the boy drops to his knees to do it. Makoto shoots out his hand toward the creature's foot, then locks eyes with her as he studies her closely, daring anyone to claim that cursed foot even remotely belongs to a goddess. Then in a blur, the boy whips out his dagger and rips the harpy's foot clean off. Makoto yells at Sasaki to step in and make a move. And the girl finally clocks it, this is her opening. The girl sprints straight at the monster, fear forgotten as she closes the distance. But the queen of the harpies swings in for a brutal strike at her. No hesitation, she yanks her hand off with a ruthless snap. Makoto growls at the harpy, telling it to keep those filthy hands away from Sasaki, because one touch is a line it won't survive. In that split second, Sasaki swings into action, destroying anything that stands between her and the family she lost in that world. She drives her fist straight into the harpy's heart. Nina and Lucy are stunned. How is the harpy still alive, still breathing, even with that opponent's fist buried in her heart? Sasaki snatches the harpy's heart for herself, then leans in and asks, if I end it here, will this thing be destroyed? The girl still remembers the nightmare, how that monster of a woman tore into her mother and devoured her heart. Then she shrieks that the harpy is going to pay for what she did, right now, and die. She swung her fist. She destroys his heart in seconds. Sasaki is a total wreck with emotion because she pulled it off. Makoto rushes in, checks if she's okay, then cheers, you did great. And just like that, it's finally over. Sasaki's pain and heartbreak are finally gone. The girl thrusts little stones into Nina's hands, pieces taken straight from the harpy's heart after it got crushed. First, the rabbit lanes in and tells you the truth. Those stones are magic and they're worth a fortune. Sasaki notices it. Somehow, one of those stones soothes her like she's finally back home. Nina blurts out that the purple stone might have been her mother's, and that's why she feels this strangely good right now. Then everyone jumps in, nodding like, yep, she gets to keep that purple magic stone, and they all agree to sell only the other one. Now the girls are dying to know how Makoto resisted the Harpy Queen's charm and didn't get swept up. Turns out that magical charm only works on the clouded minds, so Sasaki gets the proof, and he's genuinely grateful to Makoto. Because he had to take the fall for her revenge, he was the reason it even happened. His friend barrels in and yanks him by the arm. And the boy clocks it right away. She usually hates physical touches, so this feels totally out of character. After she died, it hit her like a truck. She'd changed her mind, and suddenly she was drowning in regret for everything she'd lost. This time, she's done playing it safe. She's choosing to live with zero regrets. Makoto pauses, brow furrowed, trying to figure out what other regrets she could possibly have. Then Lucy cuts in and tells them to hurry back home. Home base is done, everyone in the group grabs their gear, and they're ready to hit the road. Makoto's about to move, and then he spots something unfolding right near him. Somewhere deeper in the cave, humans are throwing down against monsters. If the hero dares to take on the dragon. Dude, Makoto's crew decides to track down exactly where those humans are battling the monsters. Nina watches them join the warriors and realizes there's no fixing this mess, no matter what they do. Lucy pitches using their firepower, but Makoto snaps, saying that plan would torch everyone in the process. The MC reaches out again to the spirits, then begs them for help, right there, right now, summoning a massive wave of water that crashes like a storm. A surge of water crashes in and shoves those monsters down hard, and somehow keeps every human alive and out of harm's way. Life Makoto barrels up to Sakurai, grabs his attention, and demands he look. The hero's jaw drops, his friend's magic is totally blowing him away. Sasaki spots another familiar face in the crowd of classmates. Yakama was Sasaki's classmate, right there in the same classroom every single day. Slid into the seat beside her in class. Makoto presses Sakurai for what happened, because monsters like that should have been a joke for the hero, only for Sakurai to admit he got slammed battling a pack of dragons on that floor. And that's the terrifying part, they've been teaming up, and that alliance is the real problem. And fighting in that flooded mess is brutally hard. As the fight raged, they suddenly spotted more enemies closing in on Sakurai. He begged everyone to evacuate, but the whole thing spiraled out of control. The hero breathes a sigh of relief, no one died, but admits the operation blew up on them this time. Yakama clocks that things are about to be completely different. If the Great White Sage had just been more cooperative, he'd be hailed as the strongest man on the entire continent, and nobody like that would ever step into a petty fight like the one that happened. Sakurai basically says, we can't fix this with excuses, we've got to handle it ourselves, and even though Makoto doesn't know the whole situation, one thing hits him hard. They're in serious trouble, and it's the kind that won't wait. The MC flashes back to when Noah begged him to be nicer to the hero, because that guy would be a total game changer later. When the system shoots him the question about helping the hero, Makoto wastes no time and slams yes, since he has to listen closely as his goddess closes in on Sakurai. The boy tilts his head and asks the man straight up if he needs any help. Makoto insists there's no doubt. A hidden cave lies under the lake, and that's where the abominable dragons are lurking. Of course he won't know exactly what to do until he tries it himself, because for the light hero, this is the only move left. Sakurai says Yakama can't bring himself to trust Makoto, mostly because he's so painfully weak, and because his past life felt downright suspicious. Sakurai just can't shake it. He admits the boy saved him that one time, and that moment still lives in his head. For Yakama, Makoto can barely muster any mana at all, yet he's still been throwing those spells like nothing's wrong. The light hero leans in and tells his colleague straight up that he trusts her mana perception. But he's convinced Takatsuki can handle this for Yakama. Takatsuki feels like a crushing weight on his shoulders, like he'll never put it down. Meanwhile, Nina and Lucy stay put, and Makoto's taking the plunge with Sasaki, no other route. The girls who stick around are trembling with worry for that boy, but he shrugs it off and swears he won't pull anything reckless. Yakama fears he'll chicken out, so when the dragon looms, he grabs the chance to slip down to a lower floor, and Makoto somehow tracks down the dragon's cave. Sakurai looked around and realized fighting here is a nightmare. If those dragons slip into the lake, there's no way anyone's catching them. The MC leans in and asks the hero if taking on the dragons outside the cave would be easier, and Sakurai wastes no time confirming it. Now we're going to blast the dragons out of here, but Yakama doubts it'll ever work, but Takatsuki won't back down. He swears he'll go talk to the spirits anyway, because they're everywhere. Yakama watches him closely, convinced the boy isn't chatting with spirits at all. He's just spinning up some made-up words, because she has no clue anyone could do something like that. That girl never trusts the MC for a second, but just as the conversation drags on, a spirit suddenly takes over and throws everything into motion. Suddenly, a massive burst of magic explodes into the air. That power slams into the girl, and she gasps. She's never seen anything even close to this in her life. Sakurai leans in and asks Makoto if that's what the spirit's power looks like, and the MC confirms it, saying they've never seen it hit all at once like this, because now a massive surge of energy is roaring around him. The MC blares like he's the center of the earth, and vows he'll take control of that power, then snaps, back up everyone. Realizing what was unfolding before him, Yokoyama can't shake the feeling that Makoto simply can't handle that much mana. But Sakurai is all in on Takatsuki, even though the girl still has no clue where he got. Clutched every last bit of faith he had in the MC right then. A dragon burst into view right there in front of all of them. To help Sasaki crush her revenge, Makoto had to grind for hours to earn the spirit's trust, but he never once needed to use that power. Until now, Takatsuki has been chatting with the water spirits like it's no big deal. He warned that some dragons out there are downright brutal, and he's ready to drive them out for good. Sakurai locks onto it. Makoto's power lets him talk straight to the monarch-class spirits. Yakama's jaw drops as he watches the kid hold his own while talking to the Dragon Kings. The MC pushes to master that power, gripping it tighter and tighter until the dragons are finally gone. Makoto leans into Sakurai and spills his plan. He's sending those two dragons away. Then the water spirits unleash the monsters from the depths. The MC tells everyone to clear out, then steps in and takes control of the mess. Makoto blurts out, "Why haven't you left yet, Sakurai?" And the hero leans in and promises, "I'll unleash my flying power when the moment hits." Then he blurts out how the MC can stay so calm in front of those horrific creatures, and the boy answers, "I've got a calm mind ability." Right then, the two dragons were basically seconds away from getting shipped off. Lucy cracks open a massive hole in the caves, and they send the dragons roaring straight out to sea through it. Sakurai's got one brutal job now. He has to defeat the enemy. The MC grabs a board and shreds the spirits right across the waves. It's climbing higher and higher, shooting straight toward the sky, and drops to his knees, grateful that you helped him. Sakurai stands bathed in golden light, and the sun god's blessing crashes over him like pure power. To seal the fight, he finally smashes one of the dragons and brings it down for good. But the other one rockets through the air at full speed toward the city. Everyone's watching as the abominable dragon barrels forward. The hero can't unleash his full power. One wrong move and he'll slaughter the civilians, so he has to scramble, think, and figure out a safer plan fast. The dragon slams straight into a shimmering magical barrier, like it just hit a wall of pure magic. A blazing barrier that's holding the city safe. Turns out the only one who can pull off something like that is the Great Sage of Light. He uses the Great White Sage's guard over the city as his opening. Sakurai charges forward with every ounce of strength he's got. Charging straight at the enemy, he crashes in with a heroic strike and brings the dragon down. That night, the whole city erupted in celebration, like every street was set on fire with excitement. The MC's team erupts in celebration because Sasaki finally claws her revenge into reality. She insists she only pulled it off because everyone there helped her, and now they're all itching to know what's her plan. Sasaki leans in and asks if Makoto's heading back to the capital on the continent, then slips in, "Can I go with you?" before the boy even gets the chance to answer. Lucy grins and says, "We're already a team, so yeah, you're coming with us." Even though that elf's jealousy flares, it's a huge win that they're finally getting along. Fujian leans in and asks Makoto straight up, "Aren't we a team or what?" And the MC shoots back, "We're partners forever," sealing it with a promise that hits like fate. A lone man strides right up to Takatsuki to tell you he's been called in to accept Princess Noelle's heartfelt thanks. The MC refuses to go, but Fujian won't take no for an answer and pushes him forward. Makoto turns to Sakurai and demands to know why he was dragged here. The hero finally admits it. He's the one who told the princess about the boy. So yeah, this is all on him because now that kid has to meet her in person. Takatsuki, sent to drag Makoto in, gets thrown for a loop the moment he lays eyes on the person standing there to summon him. To that old man. Then the kid's so battered and worn out he can't possibly stand before the princess. They need to slam this meeting together as fast as they can, just to shut down what's happening before it drags on any longer. Princess Noelle beams at Makoto, telling him she's truly grateful to finally meet him. Right next to her sits a face he knows too well, Sophia, the water princess herself, the princess. Thanks to Makoto, he finally had the edge he needed to take on the abominable dragons. The MC insists loud and clear that Sakurai alone is what wiped out the dragons. But the hero swears, straight-faced, that Makoto pulled his weight even as Noelle is being considered as the continent's top authority, and trust me, she's way nicer than the MC ever expected. In that exact moment, the boy has no clue what he's supposed to do next. Then he shoots a desperate look at Sakurai, begging for help. The hero leans in and tells the princess that Makoto is a legendary magician, then asks if she'd like to invite him to meet up in the highlands. Noelle knows it's a total shock. Heroes don't usually throw out a request that bold. But since Makoto's a citizen of the City of Roses, snatching him might light Sophia's fury on fire. Princess Sophia nods and declares that Makoto is officially one of her continent's citizens, and tells him straight to his face that he crushed that mission. Apparently, she just completely forgot about him, and now she's telling everyone she heard he's an insanely great wizard. Then Sophia promises him the water goddess's divine protection, and begs that he rises to become one of the most famous wizards on the whole continent. And Makoto remembers the days when he was still fresh in that world, just trying to figure it all. He begged for the princess's blessing, but she looked at him and declared him unworthy. He stared at the whole mess, shrugged, and said, maybe next time. Right out of nowhere, she offers to protect him, and the boy shuts her down cold. No one can figure out why he's suddenly shutting it down. And the guard grilled Princess Sophia's rules, demanding to know if that young man truly understood where he stood. The MC decides to tell the princess the truth. When he came begging for her blessing, she wouldn't even spare him a glance. She's pushing for it out of nowhere, but he's not backing down. No way he's accepting this. A guard explodes in anger at Makoto, yelling that he has no right to talk to the princess like that, and warns him he won't be able to stay on the continent if he keeps it up. But the MC shrugs it off. Once the shouting ends, Makoto storms over to plead his case, and Noah can't help thinking he's finally lost a little of his cool. So now he's getting kicked out, and later he'll have to swallow his pride and apologize to everyone. But to the boy's shock, Sophia shoots up, dismisses her guard, and declares it's a crime to try to get rid of the hero who saved the Great Labyrinth. Makoto can't wrap his head around it. Why did they toss out the guard instead of him? Princess Sophia grabs the moment and declares she's done with the past. She wants to start over and drops to a bow in front of the boy, apologizing with everything he's got. She admits it, he's the hero who tore through danger and saved that whole city, and begged him to stay there right in the roses. Because the MC is so crazy about that city, he's locked in, he refuses to leave. The princess breaks into a brief smile, exhaling like a weight has been lifted, and tells him this is nothing but a huge relief for her. Sophia admits she has no clue if this apology even cuts it. But if the boy wants anything at all, she's ready to help him without hesitation. When Makoto pauses to ask himself if he really wants something, his mind snaps back to Fujian griping that trying to do business in roses is brutal. Then the MC starts talking about his friend, who keeps loading him up with supplies for wild adventures, and he basically begs for even more freedom to roam like a merchant. The princess shoots back, promising she'll get a permit stamped in his name right away. In a blink, Sophia sorts out the authorization, then breaks into a grin and tells him she's thrilled he's here with her. The boy slams a final goodbye and turns to go. Before he leaves, Noelle tells the boy, if you ever get lost and don't know where to go again, the Highlands will take you in with open arms. Then she leans in and asks one thing, do you need anything? And then it hits Makoto, Sakurai really was the help he needed all along. When the boy finally comes back, the group crowds around him and demands to know how it all went. And Makoto blurts out that he snagged a gift for Fujian, and hands him the permit so he can finally do business in roses. The merchant is over the moon about how his friend helped him out. Around the table, the girls clock how tightly Princess Sophia holds herself back, and it's wild to see her push for the MC to stay on her continent so badly. That night, Sakurai finally runs into the MC again and hits him with a heartfelt thank you for all the help. Help him because that boy's already on edge after the hero shoved him into a brutal situation. Even Yakama can't help but feel grateful because that boy actually pulled off a monarch-class magic move. Then the light hero bursts in with the news. Turns out the great sage wants to meet him face to face. Lucy can barely contain her excitement. Seeing the great sage and knowing he actually wants to meet him feels straight up unbelievable. But Makoto refuses to meet any higher-ups. Fujian insists even the great sage outranks the princess, and the hero smirks that this time he can finally go with him. Still, Sasaki wants to stick around for one more bite until the MC snaps, come on. What? So when he's with his friends, he suddenly feels like he can push past his limits and perform way better. Meanwhile, Fujian is determined to thank the princess himself for that precious sales authorization. Nina seizes the moment and tells Takatsuki, don't you dare bring that same attitude toward the great sage like you did with Princess Sophia. The groups break apart, scattering like sparks, so the meeting can finally begin. Makoto leans in and asks Lucy who the great sage really is, and the elf fires back that she's the legendary heroine who once battled the great demon king centuries ago. Sasaki can't help but stare in awe at how every single generation of great sages turns out to be absolutely mind-blowing. And Lucy tells everyone her power is something she's born with. Apparently, the great sage isn't just strong, he's ridiculously powerful. When they finally reach the great sage's door. But just as Makoto is about to move forward, something slams the brakes on him. Noah's voice hits his ears, blasting the same warning, he can't go past there. This is the first time his goddess has ever erupted like that in his life, and right then, the hero introduces Takatsuki to the great sage. The MC can't stop thinking, should he really listen to Noah's warning and stay outside? And Sakurai drops the news. The great white sage only wants Makoto and his friends to step inside. If even Sakurai can't get in, Noah's right, this place is dangerous as hell, and backing out now is going to hurt. The MC locks in his choice and refuses to back down, and bursts into the tent. The great sage's voice turns out to be feminine, and it beckons Makoto closer. And in the end, it's just this little girl with white hair, standing there like the whole world hinges on her. Right there, the sage strides up to Makoto, closing the distance like he's about to drop a truth that changes everything. He snaps a photo and blurts, "This is absolutely not okay." She grabs his face and declares, "You're an apostle of Noah." The great sage can't believe it. Right in front of us stands an apostle of an evil goddess, a half-elf, half-demon, and even a serpent. Makoto realizes she has a power that lets her see right through people, and if she ever figures out he's an apostle of Noah, everything changes fast. They're set to execute him, so he's got to lie, because that's his only way out. The MC shoots back that she must have made a mistake. But the sage locks eyes with the boy, like he's trying to see straight through him. Then she snaps, "You don't have to get defensive," because in the end he's still back the hero of light. And honestly, finding someone who can use spirit powers is like hunting a ghost, and she's on the hunt for him right now, so once she catches him, they're definitely grabbing some tea together. Side by side, the girls finally settle in. And right before Makoto drops into his seat, the sage leans in and demands he stay right beside her. A tiny girl pours tea and serves it with quiet confidence. And then BOOMS teleports the sweet right onto the table. Across the whole continent, teleportation magic is so rare it's basically a myth. Most people have to struggle for ages just to make it work, but she pulled it off like it was nothing. Sasaki doesn't care at all. He devours the sweets and casually asks what the sage even needs them for. The girl shrugs and says, "I was just curious." She clocked what the MC would pull off a whole year ago. The great demon lord is on the verge of waking up, and if they keep messing with those dragons like this, total disaster is coming. Makoto sipped the tea and wondered if Noah was just blowing things out of proportion when she claimed the people there treated others like they didn't matter. Apostles of dark, evil gods. The great sage claims he's Noah's second apostle, and she's heard it, so the boy's stomach flips with nerves because she can't shake the fear this is going to blow up into a terrible misunderstanding. Long before your time, the Apostle of Noah, centuries back, served among the demon lords who rallied behind the Great Lord and earned the terrifying nickname, the Mad Hero. Lucy has only heard whispers about that hero, and spills the shocking truth that hundreds of years ago, something happened long before any of them were even born. He hunted down every hero in the kingdom, every last one, until the only exception, the hero of light, stepped in and wiped him out. Now the elf realizes the so-called madman wasn't just crazy. He was an apostle of Noah. Makoto's totally lost because his goddess never once warned him about any of this. The great sage opens his mouth and declares that this apostle isn't just wrong, he's completely lost his mind. And no matter what you tried, you couldn't even get a real conversation out of him. The MC blurts out that she talks about it like she's seen it with her own eyes, and the girl snaps back that everyone carries memories from the past sages. Asks Makoto if he's really going to keep being Noah's apostle. He has zero idea what to say, so he keeps pretending he's clueless and straight up lies to her face. The sage lifts her hand and gently cups the boy's hair, like she's about to unlock something huge, and tells them to drop it for now. She whips around to Lucy and demands to know if the redhead has. She's realized her own mana is scorching her body from the inside out. Even though the elf swears it's natural, it only proves one thing: she's totally losing control of her own power. And the wise sage hands her a bracelet. Lucy gets that bracelet that instantly quiets the raging flow of mana. And the little girl blurts it costs the price of a whole house, so he better be careful. Makoto can't stop wondering, should he really take that gift, or is a massive bill lurking right around the corner? The sage declares the great demon lord is going to rise again for sure, so they throw everything they've got into preparations, because this isn't just a plan, it's an investment that could save them all. Talking to Sasaki face to face, like the whole world is buzzing around them. The great sage reveals her insane transformation power. One moment she's human, and the next she can shift into far more complex forms like a dragon. Even though serpents can turn into humans, Sasaki's power goes way past that, like it's in a whole different league. And she's already died once, and somehow she's still standing, like her gamer power is cheating death, where her last remaining lives still stand. Lucy's jaw drops. This girl can resurrect not just once but a few times. Just as they're about to head out, the great sage slams it shut, that's enough, and tells them that when they reach the highlands, they'll come find her because she's ready to train them. The demon lord's coming no matter what, and she's racing to get them ready. But if Makoto flips and turns against them, or that little girl will step in and wipe them all out one by one. The MC looks the great sage in the eye and shuts him down. No way they're throwing hands with the great demon, not when they're nowhere near strong enough, and when the hero who's meant to handle it should step up instead. The girl points out that once the great demon comes back to life, a brutal war will erupt between the people in the area and the demons, and if they're defeated, they'll never get to stay there again. Right before the whole group steps out, the girl begs them to summon the hero of light to come inside. Just as Makoto is about to leave, the wise woman leans in and warns him. She's praying he quits being Noah's apostle because that road only traps him in misery. Meeting her ended up paying off big time, even with that tense talk about Noah hanging over everything. Makoto rushes to Lucy and Sasaki, apologizing for leaving out the fact that his goddess is evil. But for the girls, it doesn't matter if he stays exactly the same as always. The whole crew now decides they're heading back to his city, this time with Fujian riding along too. Makoto recalls that he's already stepped into the labyrinth, followed his goddess's orders to the letter, and now, just like that, the mission is over. But it still gnaws at him. He's heard all about Noah's former apostle, and somehow it feels like he never truly opened his heart to his goddess. Everything Makoto heard about Noah from the other side was pure doom and gloom. But the Noah he knows just doesn't feel like the cruel type. She's gotta be valuable to him somehow, but it's not just that. She lavishes him with non-stop affection, doting on him like he's the only thing that matters. And the boy has zero clue what Noah is cooking in his head. At night, Makoto slips over to see his goddess, then freezes, because she's sitting there, sulking like something's wrong. The goddess leans in and asks Makoto straight up if he's finally done being her follower, because the wise woman's words clearly hit him hard. The MC fires back, and Noah's about to have to answer the one question everyone's whispering. Is he really the demon lord's ally? But she goes silent, then snaps at him. So are you going to stop following me? Noah lines in and admits he's starting to suspect her. The boy admits he'd always felt something was off, and the girl won't even give him her name. She drags it out forever, until she finally drops the truth. She's an evil goddess. But since he's her follower, he's gotta figure out what's going on, period. She wants everything she's chasing, and she's already imagining exactly what she expects to get. Noah nods and promises, all right, I'll tell you everything. Right after the Titanomachy, when her Titan family vanished and the dust finally settled, she realized she was the only one left and she was completely alone. 15 million years later, she still refused to give up, and she fought to rescue her friends. Until she got trapped in the ocean's deep temple and realized she couldn't pull it off by herself. Still, she refuses to back down. She's determined to rescue her friends no matter what. And that's the real wish burning in her heart. Makoto stares at the girl and demands answers, why her apostle murdered the hero centuries ago. Then the girl drops the truth. The demon lord made her a promise, and that promise is what's supposed to help her save her friends. The demon and monster creators are clashing with the holy gods, only for them to get betrayed by broken promises. The MC wonders if this time she'll force him to kill heroes. Then Noah smirks and taunts the boy, asking Makoto if she really thinks he could take down even a single hero. But he knows deep down that it just can't be done. Noah realizes everything's different from a century ago, and the girl can't stand those pointless wars waged in the name of gods. She only had hoped once Makoto stepped into that world. The holy gods don't draw power from thin air. Every ounce of their strength is forged by the faith of their followers. But if their followers sink into despair, faith starts slipping away fast. Makoto realizes the whole plan is to crush them, by reviving the great demon lord and leaving them desperate for answers. The boy demands to know if she'll team up with the demons again, and Noah snaps back that she doesn't trust the demon gods anymore. Against all odds, this is their moment. Faith is stronger than ever, but the demons aren't backing down and they're ready to strike at the worst time. Meanwhile, the MC lanes in, demanding what Noah plans to do. She's convinced that if Makoto keeps standing his ground, people will finally realize the goddess he's chasing is the real deal, and they'll rush to follow her too. She's convinced that if she cracks faith in the holy gods, she'll finally find a way to save her friends. Then Makoto leans in and asks who the girl's old follower was, because that guy was totally unhinged. The goddess snapped that the great wise woman was just blowing things out of proportion, and that the guy only looked a little unhinged because he was totally, helplessly in love with her. But since her charm bounces off Makoto, he can finally relax. Deep down, gods and humans are built on totally different values, so they'll never see eye to eye. Noah closes in on the boy and demands to know what he's planning to do. The system shoots back, asking Makoto if he really wants to keep riding Noah the goddess's path and help bring the world crashing down. In this world, that tiny goddess looks ready to square up against every other holy god out there. Because she was the first goddess to finally talk to him after the boy vanished from the water temple. And it was all because of her that he could battle the griffin and live. Noah's the only reason he even has a shot at spirit magic. Without him, that power would have never existed. And that's why he never would have crossed paths with his friends. Still, she hasn't gotten anything back, not a single thing. And if kindness comes back with coldness, you'd better stop acting like you're owed anything, you ungrateful. Makoto drops to his knees before the goddess and urges her to grant their wish together. That's how he sealed the world's transformation, through Noah. And maybe the goddess's charm magic hit him like lightning. Sasaki's absolutely loving it as Fujian's flying ship whisks him through the sky. The girl rushes to her friend and demands to know if he's really okay. And the boy blurts out that he's thrilled to finally head home with her. Lucy slams out a call and yells for the two. Fuji tells them to come for tea with sweets, and right as he says it, the elf rolls up to Makoto and bluntly asks if Sasaki's all over him has him feeling happy. And the boy blurts yes, because in the old world she's the only friend he's ever had. The boy can't stop thanking Lucy for getting them back together again. And just like that, the flying ship dips and sways in the air. Lucy crashes down, landing right on top of the MC. Chasing that full-on romantic movie vibe, like the credits are already rolling. Sasaki raises his voice from a distance, calling the elf over. And they head out for tea, peering down from above like they own the view. That world stretches out like a holy empire, crafted for the sacred gods alone. So that territory becomes a direct enemy line for Noah's followers. Once the MC follows the goddess, the whole world turns against him. Now he's got a brutal road ahead. But that's exactly why he's gonna make it all worth it. After grinding through countless fights inside the labyrinth, they finally tore their way back to the city of Macallan. Sasaki practically bursts with excitement as he spots the exact place where Takatsuki lives. Makoto tells her, "Don't worry, I'll show you the city," then insists they hit the guild first. Jean is still pushing to go, but then everything gets messed up when they split. Then the MC and his crew rush to the Adventurers Guild to track down Mary. He's buzzing with excitement because he can see he's doing great. Sasaki strides up to Mary and introduces herself, and Mary lights up on the spot, laughing as she watches Sasaki joke around with the boy. The receptionist leans in and drops the bomb. Makoto came back to the city with this insanely cute girl. She signs into the guild and hears what he's done, killed the Harpy Queen and wiped out the abominable dragon, so Mary can't help but stare at the boy in pure awe. Makoto scrambles to claim it was all the hero and his team, but Lucy cuts in and says it could totally come off like sarcasm from him. Mary declares that she'll chip in to help bring the dragon down in the Great Labyrinth. He's about to be bumped up to the silver rank, yet the MC can't shake it, thinking he's nowhere near strong enough to deserve it. The receptionist tells him straight up that he needs to step up and own his self-confidence, and boasts that he shattered the record for the fastest climb to that ranking. Jean and Emily hook up with Makoto, and the moment they lay eyes on him, they're just grinning. Apparently he's doing great. Right then, the duo stepped in to help the church. Monsters had smashed everything, leaving plenty of people hurt, and Sasaki was already grinning, thrilled to meet his brand new friends. Emily thrusts Jean back to safety and tells him, "Every single day, you've been asking if Makoto's still okay in that labyrinth." That night, they're raising cups to toast the boy's wild progress as an adventurer. Mary tells her she'll hook up with them later, but Lucy can't shake the fear that she's had one sip too many. Sasaki leans in and asks the elf, what happens if Mary downs too much? And Lucy shoots back, "I get super warm." That means she'd cling to Makoto even harder from that moment on. And in the end, the girls can't hide their jealousy. He becomes the one they all envy. And the MC bursts with joy, thrilled to finally be back in his city. At the party, Makoto's energy starts to drain, and exhaustion creeps in fast. Right in the blink of an eye, he's staring straight at his goddess. And she's dressed like nothing you've ever seen before. She's determined to pull off looking like a woman. Noah finally corners the woman, this absolute expert, and asks if the MC still remembers their plan. He had to break the pact with the great demon lord and charge straight at the holy gods. The goddess leans in and demands, "So what are you doing next?" Makoto drops the confidence bomb. He swears he can root out some insanely strong allies. Noah presses, so who are you trying to recruit? And the MC just smirks. He already knows he wants the absolute strongest ally standing right beside him. But Sakurai can't be touched. He's a hero blessed by a goddess on the far side of the world, so yeah, that makes him the enemy. Noah declares that Sakurai isn't just a hero, he's the real deal. MC nods and says they should look for someone with real global pull, because turning people into Noah's soldiers one by one is a terrible idea. Then the goddess grabs a board and writes down their targets. Makoto's jaw drops when she realizes the targets she picked are Princess Noelle and Sophia. The boy snaps that both are Sakurai's fiancées and that they hate her, while Noah refuses to give up, insisting he can turn that hate into love. Even if this trick works in video games, the boy already sees the brutal truth in real life. It's never that simple, and you can't force someone who hates you to fall in love with his goddess. The boy scrambles to map out a game plan to win Noelle over. And the girl snaps back that he can't pull the same stunt as last time after Noah's suggestion. Makoto blurts out, so when do I finally get to head for that underwater fortress and pull Noah out? The goddess leans in and asks if the boy even knows Leviathan, the sea monster that patrols the doorway to time, then fires back to make sure Makoto's not guessing. She leans in and asks if he realizes Leviathan is a divine beast, brutal enough to match the great demon lord. The demon lord has ruled the land for around 1,000 years, but Leviathan, he's been terrorizing the ocean for more than 10,000. The MC gets shaky with that info, because if the demon lord is the final boss, then Leviathan is basically the ultimate bonus boss waiting right after. So Makoto steals himself, he's going to take the demon on first. And Noah says, yeah, that's the right move. Then the goddess turns to the boy and says goodbye. He tells them he's doing great, then the next. Makoto's crew finally gathers, and Lucia wastes no time asking where they're headed. Then the boy grins and says they're going to tour the city with Sasaki. For now, they'll train because there's no way to reach any of the princesses yet, so the boy decides to use this downtime to get even stronger. Out of nowhere, Mary comes sprinting in, grabs Makoto's attention, and blurts that the Highlands just sent a message. Princess Noelle wants him for an event where she and Princess Sophia will be there in that world. You don't just stumble into a princess like that, so how in the world did they get invited to an event like this out of nowhere? Makoto reads Noelle's message and gets the vibe of an invitation. Then he checks Sophia's words and boom, that's an order written in bold. Now he's stuck wondering what kind of trouble is about to slam into him. Mary steps in and insists it's nothing shady, just the princesses inviting him to show up and thank them in proper, formal style. Makoto remembers Noah straight up telling him to play nice with the princesses. So he's gonna have to bail out of the city again. For a while, the MC can't help smiling because he finally gets to meet Mary again. Because she was the first one to welcome him into the guild as a receptionist, it hits him like he's right back in his old city. Lucy and Sasaki see Makoto vibing with other girls after that invitation, and jealousy hits them hard. He has no choice, he has to leave the city again. Fujian hands over his flying boat for the trip, and the merchant can't hide his grin. He's thrilled because he wants another chance to thank Princess Sophia. Merchants should always grab every connection they can before they even think about getting permission to sell. They roll into the royal capital of roses, and boom, jaw-dropping architecture hits them first, then the most gorgeous castle on the whole continent towers over everything. Makoto's arrival lights him up with pure excitement, even as the place looks like a whole city soaked in flowers. But Sasaki can't help it, those buildings just look plain ugly to him. The MC clocks that this getaway city just doesn't belong there, and Fujian flat out says the only thing it's ever cared about is tourism. Year after year, that's all it's been. The bunny girl blurts that right then they're reinforcing the walls to shield everyone from the demon lord, because the monsters are suddenly going wild. Defense is the best strategy, she shouts. Lucy blurts out where they're heading first, and Makoto shoots back, let's run into the castle and say hello. She asks why they won't go explore, and the MC points out that the invite said he only needs to show up in 7 days, so for now they can take a stroll. The city they came from looks kinda the same, but the vibe hits totally different. Sasaki's attention snaps to something out of nowhere. She stumbles onto a monster circus where terrifying creatures cross the whole continent, giants, dragons, and more, hauling the nightmare straight from town to town. Fujian tells them that in this world, people hunt down monsters, tame them, and train them to steal the spotlight in live shows. Makoto's jaw drops when he realizes dragons can actually be trained. And Sasaki can't stand it. She clocks the monster's suffering and it shakes her up. Even though monsters were built to kill humans and get killed in return, some twisted, undeniable empathy still exists between them. Right then, they get dragged into captivity and train like living shows to thrill the crowd, while the pain hits them hard. Sasaki gets torn in two, her heart aches for the monsters, but she knows they'd still tear into humans the second she lets them. That's a mess for her. Then Makoto dials up his friend and tells him to get out of there fast. They had to wrap up that meeting fast, so when they finally rolled into the castle, they could dig into some seriously good food. Fuji promises he'll go talk to the guards at the gate, but Lucy can't stop shaking. This whole situation has her on edge. But Sasaki tells her to breathe easy, then he points right at Makoto, who's radiating pure confidence. The MC grins with full-on kid energy, bursting to explore the castle like it's straight out of an RPG. The girls yank him back and warn, "Hold up, this might be a terrible idea." Then Makoto grins and swears that whole thing was just a joke. Even if it's a lie, Noah is still staring at him right then, like that kid is some kind of freak accident. Fujian storms back and orders them to head down a specific path, while the guard watches every step. Princess Sophia strides up and greets the group, welcoming them to the MC. She still looks at him like pure hatred, like his contribution to the feat earned her nothing but disgust. She can either call down the power of the night or take payment in gold. Makoto clocks it right away. She's being way too generous, especially after she already okayed Fujian to sell, but the MC flat out doubts he can play the noble role since he was handed the option to do it. He'll probably grab the gold and wonder if Noah's really fine with it, but then the goddess steps in and tells Makoto to pick whatever he wants. The MC drops to one knee before Princess Sophia and boldly asks for the gold. The soldier hands him a tiny bag of gold, and the boy blurts out his thanks. Fujian seized the moment to thank the princess for granting him permission, bowing like it meant the world. Sophia leans in and offers the merchant a royal title. She'll make him nobility if he's willing to play along. But the four-eyed girl panics and blurts that the permission she already gave him is more than enough. The princess says she wants him to keep tending the roses as hard as he can, and Makoto promises, "Don't worry, I'll do my absolute best." But now he has to haul himself back, because once the group leaves the castle, there's no turning back. Russell and Lucy finally exhale in relief, and Sasaki does too. The MC leans in and demands, "Fujian, why did you turn down the noble title?" Because the princess kept pushing it on him hard. The boy says, "If the princess hands me that title, then I'll have to live in this city, and that's exactly why it feels like a clean, final closure." They clocked the bond between him and Makoto, and now they're hunting for a way to trap the MC in that city, right then, right there. Right then, Makoto's eyes widen. He realizes his friend just slipped into the princess's mind to crack the problem. Now the girls are buzzing with excitement, racing into the city in search of the best food they can find. Fujian says he'd give anything to head to the city, but he can't. He hunted down his merchant guild crew and made sure they'd meet again as they walked through the city. Sophia's old guard has a change of heart. Makoto erupts in anger as he jabs a finger at the boy. He blurts, "So why am I even here?" That little mustache man points out, because of the boy, he's no longer stuck as the princess's guardian, he's just been promoted to a regular commander of the knights, and honestly, the MC doesn't look too upset about it. The man heard that folks from another city were rushing there for an audience, then his jaw dropped when he realized it was Makoto. He flashes a tiny smile and... Island claims the boy finally scored the chance to serve the royal family, but Makoto insists he turned the offer down. Ignoring the MC's answer, he snatched his arm and yanked him along, roaring that he'd bring him to his colleagues and teach him civility in a hostile little battlefield. The guard grabs Makoto's attention and makes him pick the weapon he wants most, which freaks him out because it feels like he's about to get put through a full-on physical exam. The MC realizes he isn't a knight, so he'll never reach their level, and if he refuses to play along, trouble will come crashing down. He can't help but wonder, could his spiritual magic actually pull off a crazy surprise on those guys? Makoto tries to talk to them, but at that moment, nothing answers. Then Noah's voice hits him. There aren't any spirits nearby, and this whole capital is ruled by benevolent gods. They call spirits weak. Spiritual magic is the secret sauce behind the boy's power in battle, but even though demons can't touch him there, he's still not convinced about the old man. Sasaki snatches the lead, leans in, and declares that if they want to take Makoto down, they'll have to blast through her first. The girl leans in and introduces herself with a bold, confident smile. And she tells her, "Since Takatsuki runs this team, you're going to be my very first opponent." The knight realizes the girl is an adventurer too, and it hits him. This isn't fair, not when a man boxes against her, so he orders one of his soldiers to end the mess. The female knight demands to know what weapon Sasaki will wield, and the girl just grins. "I'm taking this fight on with my bare hands." The woman laughs and says, "Since the little girl's just an adventurer, I'll go easy on myself." She's struck in the blink of an eye. Sasaki pulls it off and wipes that woman out. He dumped her still unconscious right there on the ground. The guard captain leans in and says the next. Next comes the night boy, who goes there, and moments later, they're getting beaten up too. Sasaki was born as a serpent of the labyrinth, and that gave her powers way beyond any human. Seriously, even for a serpent, she was 10 times stronger. So yeah, those people have absolutely zero chance against her. Makoto clocks it and realizes that if that girl hadn't spotted him in the labyrinth, she'd have met the same fate as those guys, when only the weakling is left. The girl jabs her finger at him and declares that from this moment on, he's going to be her opponent. The mustached man's outrage explodes. He calls Makoto a coward for letting a woman do the fighting for him, and honestly, that jab makes his strategy sound even sneakier. Sasaki starts to unleash a horrifying new power that's about to change everything, starting right now. She can't help but wonder, was that man the same one who tried to scare the boy earlier? The girl unleashes her intimidation skill, and the enemy freezes, half a step away from backing down. Makoto clocks it right away. She's amping it up a little too much. But the girl doesn't care one bit, her furious glare screaming louder than words. She snarls that for trash like him, there's zero reason to pull any punches. The training ground beneath her starts to split and crack as her fury hits full blast. With a flash of that memory, the girl snaps into a brutal strike, one she's used before to wipe out a whole swarm of desperate harpies. The MC stares at that power and realizes, no matter what, that guy is going to die. Out of nowhere, someone shows up and comes straight up, asking, "What's going on here?" Princess Sophia steps in, eyes blazing, and fixes her gaze on them. Sophia beams and cheers that it's amazing to see the traveling adventurers helping her soldiers train, because her troops are outmatched right now, and they've got tons to learn. The MC locks eyes with that guy. Sorrow hits hard, and as things spiral out of control, he urges them to back off and retreat. And right when the MC gathers his girls and tries to make a clean getaway, a stop slams down on them mid-route. Prince Leonard of Roses can't wait to meet the adventurers who saved the Great Labyrinth, especially that brave boy. "Thanks, Makoto, now you get it. As a hero, you should take responsibility," but Sophia steps in and tells Leonard to stop beating himself up because he's just 9 years old. The MC clocks that Leonard looks so much like Princess Sophia he could honestly fool anyone at a glance, until Leonard fires back, furious that Sophia keeps treating him like some kid, not realizing he's trying to prove he's got real power. Leonard summons a water dragon, monarch-class magic, and Makoto can't believe it's something he himself might actually pull off too. Princess Sophia says she gets it, and the next time a dragon like that shows up, she'll seriously think about sending the boy. But for now, he's gotta take a breath and ease up a little. Makoto spots it instantly. Leonard is insanely powerful, but his magic still slips out of his control, and that's a terrifying problem. Empress Princess Sophia locks eyes with the MC, daring him to finally get the message and step in. The boy rushes up to Leonard and jabs a hand onto him. Now that they're finally in sync, he has to seize control of that water dragon. And then turns out the boy hadn't used synchronization ever since that disaster where Lucy's fire magic went up in flames. The little prince points at that mountain of water and demands, "So what are you doing with it?" while Makoto realizes he hasn't even given it one thought. Then he summons a bunch of magical birds and sets them loose to fly wild through the sky. Round for Leonard, man, that is absolutely incredible. But Makoto brushes it off as a nasty cheap trick, trying to escape the mess while the MC insists they're done and walking away. But the little prince goes, "Hold up, wait for me," again. Leonard grabs the MC and begs him to stick around for a real chat, and even hints at inviting him to dinner, while Sophia jumps in, saying that crew of adventurers probably already has plans. That crushes the kid's heart, who starts to stare at his sister like he's totally caught feelings, and it looks completely real. Then Princess Sophia reels them in and invites them to meet her the very next night. And for Makoto, it's almost impossible to turn down an invite like that. Turns out even a cold-hearted princess can get completely wrecked, right down to the core, when her little brother comes around. They never saw princess dinner invitations coming, but the girls beam with joy, yet the MC still shrugs it off as nothing more than some curious kid. She lays out her plan and asks straight up if they want to see the circus, the biggest on the whole continent, and promise they'll walk away with a memory that lasts forever. Hold up, the MC blurts out what kind of attractions they've got. He finally has it, and that made-up man is grinning like he won the world. He asks, then breaks it all down: griffins and blazing rings of fire, golems that dance, half-elves teaming up with demons, and to hear the rest, they've gotta go there. Sasaki and Lucy tense up the moment monsters and half-elves show up, because they're too close to that same terrifying category. Then the MC flat-out refuses the offer. But the presenter nods along and promises, if you change your minds, you'll get an amazing show tomorrow. Today, the girls whip into gratitude and thank Makoto for turning down the invite. The crew heads out together and wanders through the city streets, soaking in the sights. The presenter, who was on the scene, is absolutely furious. He blasts out a shout that they're the best circus ever and promises he'll show up at a massive city festival, then starts tossing flyers to everyone in sight. He tells them he wants them there for the presentation tomorrow. Makoto jolts awake, grinning like crazy, and declares they've got free time to go hunt goblins. But the girls shoot back, flat out refusing, and insist they're totally fine. The outraged MC fires back that he'll go solo, convinced he won't feel lonely. Then the girls step up and say their goodbyes. They jump at the chance to hit a cafe together and knock out some shopping before anything else happens. Lucy grills Sasaki about what she used to munch on when she was a snake. Then Sasaki snaps back that she refused to eat humans, so there's no way she'd touch anything except nuts. The girls stroll through the city, turning every street into a little adventure as they pass, stopping to stare every time something hits their eye and snags their curiosity. They dive into the racks, try on outfits, and go on a full shopping spree. Later on, the girls head to a cozy cafe and grab a snack to recharge. The elf clocks Sasaki and can't help but think, wow, she's insanely cute. The girl grins and the little girl fires back, saying she thinks she's adorable just as well. Sasaki tells everyone Lucy's been hammering herself with brutal training from dawn, pushing her magic to the point of perfection. She insists she can't stop, because Makoto keeps pounding it into her that she has to practice more, and he's still training even after she collapses from sleepiness and faints. Early that morning, Sasaki catches up with Makoto and even winds up crawling into the same bed as him. But the girl stays quiet, swearing nothing has happened between them, not yet. Right then they're dead even, same level, same power, no one ahead. They're a team of 3 and normally they'd each want that same person all to themselves, Makoto included, but this time it's different. They refuse to outdo each other, even by a single step, or try to snatch anyone away from the others. Turns out they're not just cooperating, there's a little spark between them. Then the girls start spinning wild theories about Makoto splitting in 2, one half sliding into each of their lives, and how that would somehow turbocharge their relationship. Nina slides up to them and fires off a question: why are they pulling those weird expressions in this cafe? Quick as lightning, the bunny snaps to it. They're talking about Makoto, and his name has them hooked. They're into each other big time, but they're stuck, clueless on how to fix this mess. Nina clocks their natural rivalry instantly, but somehow they still treat each other like true friends. The bunny fires off a bold question: what do the girls really think about polygamy? That question hits them both like a gut punch, and nerves start screaming. And over here, the women at the neighboring tables start eyeing the group like it's their job to judge them. Nina scoots closer, then starts whispering to you about the women at the table right next to them. And somehow they both ended up engaged to the same man, then started sharing everything like their lives were fused together. The bell chirps and the bunny blurts that she's got unfinished business, so you'll have to come back later. Lucy and Sasaki are left behind, stunned into silence, replaying everything in their minds. They both finally lock in on the same decision: the best move is to accept sharing the boy. Because at some point, even the toughest battles start to feel pointless. After they split from the cafe, they immediately hustle back to the clothing store to grab the pieces that caught their eye. Later, when they finally spot Makoto, his face crumples. He's devastated because he hunted and still came up empty-handed with no goblins. But the girls can barely contain their excitement. They're dying to run back to the castle. As soon as they roll up for dinner, that food is insanely delicious. The prince steps up and leans in, asking Makoto straight up if the food is finally hitting the spot. The MC whips around to Leonard and throws him a heartfelt thanks for the invite. He's basically stunned. He's never tasted anything this delicious in his life. Staring into that prince's face, the MC finally gets why everyone's obsessed with him. And yeah, he's insanely cute, but he can't wrap his head around Princess Sophia's hype because she's ice cold, and even her nickname says it all, the Ice Princess. Yeah, sure, they look similar at first, but once you really pay attention, they're totally different. Leonard realizes his sister can come off cold, even if that's not the whole story. But she's so swamped that she can't slow down, and somewhere along the way, she picked up the habit of judging everyone she sees. Now that things just got way more dangerous, the princess doesn't even get a single second to sleep. She's so overwhelmed that she ends up snapping at everyone, and it doesn't stop there. She turns that same cruelty inward and fights herself too. The prince leans in and asks Makoto if he's heard the rumor about the great demon lord's resurrection. Makoto nods and says he has, and Leonard blurts that's exactly why they're sprinting around like their lives depend on it. Rose's military is the weakest on the whole continent, always leaning on other people for help, but this time it looks brutal, so Sophia is out there hunting for the strongest ally she can get. The prince blurts that having Makoto beside them would be a huge weight off their shoulders, then the MC snaps back that he's nothing but an apprentice. The kid's jaw drops. Makoto's already mastered high-level water magic, and he brushes it off like, you just need the raw skill to pull it off. I've been racking my brain, searching for a way better solution. Leonard steps up to the MC and begs him to be his magic teacher for a while. The system demands the boy's choice, and for one terrifying second, he's completely blank, not a clue what to do. The boy can hang around the royal capital for a bit, but the prince's sister terrifies him so badly he can't even meet her eyes. Still, Makoto has no idea if he's allowed to say no to the prince's request. Right then, Princess Sophia bursts onto the scene. Leonard leans in and tells him he's not just talking, he's asking him to be his tutor. The woman tells them Makoto's an adventurer, so don't ask anything of him. It'll wreck their work, she says, and they're hunting for a more qualified teacher anyway. Leonard yanks Makoto's arm and tells him the kid is special, able to teach him things no ordinary mage ever could. Rage is clearly burning in the princess's eyes. Then the MC snaps to attention and blurts out that Leonard is boosting his magic like crazy, but honestly, it's not even that impressive. Then it hits right as the scene unfolds. A panicked knight bursts into the room, shouting that something urgent just happened and he needs to report it immediately. A massive horde of monsters just stormed into the city. The princess is totally stunned because the city is supposed to be sealed off by a magical barrier, so this makes absolutely no sense. The night's apparently been breached, and now it's all hands on deck to save every resident. Sophia tells them to rush the word to the adventurers, wipe out the enemies and you get rewarded, and those who protect the citizens earn it too. The princess's little brother can't contain himself. He blurts out that he's jumping in too. Because a hero like him can't just shrink from trouble and hide, the girl finally agrees her brother will stay with her. Makoto notices the girl's choice doesn't feel steady at all. Leonard grabs his chance and calls out to the MC, asking him to help them too. Makoto tells his crew, you're adventurers too, so step up like it and act like it. Fujian and Nina jump in too, agreeing to throw themselves into that battle side by side. The royal capital is burning to the ground, and the whole spotlight lands on one thing, evacuating the population before it's too late. Makoto surges ahead, with Lucy and Sasaki right on his tail, to scramble everyone into safety, one breath at a time. Thankfully, the princess's knights throw every ounce of strength at it, fighting tooth and nail to break the enemies watching their monster tear into the guards. Sasaki and Lucy lock eyes, stunned because that scene feels painfully familiar, like they've seen it somewhere before. Or it was teaming up with the other circus monsters. That revelation slams into Makoto. Maybe this isn't a monster invasion at all. Maybe the monsters were already lurking inside the city, and once they broke loose, they spiraled out of control. They all teamed up to crush that monster, the biggest of the bunch, so you know the prize has to be insanely huge. The MC and his friends fire up their teamwork and gear up to launch the battle together. They busted through and crushed the enemy. The adventurers erupt with excitement as they finally realize Makoto and his crew are the real heroes. Even Princess Sophia's knight strides up, bows to the MC, and pours out his heartfelt gratitude. Princess Sophia strides up and demands, what's going on here? Her knight bursts in with the news, he's already crushed the monster. Makoto watches Sophia and thinks, so that's it, she's the efficient kind of princess because even in a mess like this, she doesn't so much as flinch. And then boom, his detection ability surges to the front like it's been screaming for attention. The boy hears a voice. At first it sounds like the giant's, then a second, unknown child's voice sneaks in too. He clutches his gut and knows it, something about this is seriously wrong. Turns out the giant and the kid are totally on the same page, hating the human race together. That bratty little voice fires back, wondering what the giant plans to hand her in exchange. Makoto screams as he strikes the enemy down for good. No more games, no more chances. Wait, he rises up to claim his destiny and starts taking down as many as he can. Around them, everyone starts to unravel. Faces break, voices crack, and control slips fast. Because apparently it's a curse that summons terror the second it's spoken. Even Lucy can't stay untouched by what's happening here. But Sasaki looks totally fine. Then Leonard, Makoto, and Sophia are fine for now, at least for the moment. Now they've got to figure out a plan for that giant, because nothing they throw at him works when he's fully coated in molten lava. The prince snaps his sword out and snarls that if everyone's down for the count, then it's time for him to take over. Leonard is gonna face that giant head-on because he's a real hero, and his power towers over everyone else. So with one perfectly timed strike, he can crush the enemy. Whoa, somehow the prince snaps the giant's arm clean off. Then the monster shoots back to life in an instant. It surges forward like it's homing in on the boy, just as Leonard gets closer. The knight lunges in front of him, taking the hit to protect him. Makoto panics in that moment, because Leonard looks way weaker than Sakurai. Noah lanes in and tells him the brutal truth. Prince is the weakest of the heroes, and the rescue team is not even ready to fight. The battle rages, and the monster just keeps tearing itself back together, regenerating like it refuses to die. So yeah, they're trapped in a brutally tough spot. Princess Sophia is shaking with worry for the very first time. And he blurts out, asking if Makoto can do anything at all to save that continent and her brother, the one she's still fighting for. The MC wants to help so badly, but he's got no idea how to do it. Then he learns that water magic actually works. But even then, he can't talk to the spirits there, so there has to be some way to break through. Sasaki closes in and tells her she can still power through 4 more deaths so they can gamble with a few attack attempts, but the MC immediately shuts the idea down as a horrible plan. The prince is hemmed in by lava on every side. If they hesitate even once, he's trapped and can't escape anymore. Noah tells Makoto to turn Princess Sophia into his biggest weapon. Then the MC leans in and asks Sophia if she's got any magic she can actually use. She claims she's got royal rank ice magic, but the twist is she can only use it to defend herself. Makoto lunges for Sophia, then vows that he'll burn through his own mana to save the boy. Then he locks in with her, syncing perfectly, and screams at Leonard to get out of the enemy's way. Summoning water magic. The MC slams that spell into the giant and bam, an ice dragon erupts from the impact, biting through everything, and suddenly the giant starts to freeze as the whole fight feels like it's finally under control. The dragon slams into the giant, and the whole thing instantly crumbles into nothing. Princess Sophia shoots him a sharp question, what was that? Makoto tells her he synced his magic with hers, then leans in and asks if he can pull it off again. When he locks back in sync again he locks in a synchronization, now with even more raw energy and a surge of stronger magic. Then he unleashes 2 ice dragons at the exact same time. Turns out that move was a knockout, but it still wasn't even close to beating the enemy. He can't stop worrying about Princess Sophia's condition. But right now it's sink or swim, one wrong move and it's over. The MC blurts out, "Are you hurting, princess?" And she shakes her head, no. But her warmth lingers against him. Makoto promises he'll crush this as fast as he can, and then he unleashes every last ounce of power he's got. At that exact moment, he finally locks in perfect synchronization. Where he and Sophia are fused into one, he has to cast a magic spell, so it wouldn't pull the spotlight from anyone nearby. Then boom, he summons an ice phoenix out of thin air. Sophia stares in awe at that monarch-level magic, and Makoto tells her it's all because of her. Now the giant is frozen solid, stuck and unable to move, and there's still a sliver of Princess Sophia's mana clinging on. So he unleashes that power and traps the enemy in an ice prison. The girl leans in and asks, did this finally get sorted? And the MC announces, you'll be frozen for 7 days, and she's left with one brutal choice. What does she do next? Right before it all kicked off, nerves crushed his chest as the whole situation loomed. Makoto grabs the princess's attention and thanks her for letting him wield her magic to rescue the whole city. The girl steps up and blasts the news to everyone. The giant is down. Anyone still standing, grab a weapon and start sweeping the area, hunting monsters until you find them. And they'll shower the brave adventurers with rewards for taking that risk. The princess's knight surges back to life, all thanks to his ruthless metal wall ability. He sets up an escort. Leonard and Sophia are riding back to the castle under guard. Princess Sophia leans in and tells Makoto, just wait, when the time comes, I'll reward you properly. And the boy shrugs it off like it's nothing special at all. Lucy is already back on her feet, fully recovered. But Sasaki is well right now, so because she was born into the serpent family, she gets hit by the cold and basically falls apart fast. And he better warm up because Lucy's radiating heat like crazy. On her way back to the dorm, the girl clutches onto her like she won't let go. They seize the moment and fan out across the city and the castle, hunting down anyone still stuck and needing help. The knights huddle and demand answers. Why won't Princess Sophia let herself rest for even a moment? But she's not worried about anything else. She's laser focused on checking in and making sure everyone's okay. Before any of that happens, she has to shut down her frozen heart power first, so she can keep her head clear and her spirit steady no matter what storms hit. But once she finishes that, all the feelings she had, while the ability was active, crash back into her at full force.